Final week of spring training 2013, and welcome to the Valley of the Sun. We are in Phoenix, Arizona. The Rockies on the road today. It is a gorgeous Sunday afternoon, and they've made their way to the Maryvale section of Phoenix to take on the Brew Crew. Welcome, everybody. With my partner, Jeff Houston, I'm Drew Goodman. This is kind of a preview of opening day because the Rockies will open up at Miller Park against Milwaukee in 8 days. In the lineup today, the two fixtures in their lineup, the guys that need to have big seasons, Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki.
Well, it's nice to see the horses back together again because, of course, last year with Troy being injured, that really took a lot away from Carlos Gonzalez. But Troy and the way he's moving, even from the start of spring training back in February to now, is so much different. It's free and easy. It feels good to go out there and watch him and know that everything's fine with that leg, and that's all you can ask for as a player when you've rehabbed all winter long. You're not sure what's gonna or how it's gonna react, but it turns out well, and so that's good for Troy to go out there with the confidence as we head into opening week. And then, of course, Carlos Gonzalez coming back from the WBC tournament. He likes having Troy hit behind him because he has a little bit of protection, and last year he didn't have that at times, and you saw his numbers go down. But that swing of Carlos Gonzalez is going to carry over just like it always does from spring training to the regular season. I look forward to big things from Carlos Gonzalez this year.
If they can be in the lineup together 135 times or so, somewhere in that neighborhood, look out, because that is among the two best tandems in baseball if you look at them statistically when they're healthy. So they're in the lineup this afternoon. We're ready to go. Juan Nicasio will have the baseball for the Rockies. Yeah, you better apply the sunscreen. It is just gorgeous in Arizona. A lot of snow back home. Rockies and Brewers, come on back to Maryvale with us. Cactus League Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your 7 neighborhood Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. And by Taco Bell, sometimes you got to lift Moss. A couple of television ball games for you over the next 2 days. Tomorrow, the Rockies will be at Salt River Fields, an evening contest as they take on the Cleveland Indians. So the Rockies making it over to Maryvale. There's number 1, Eric Young Jr. He was in the lineup last night. Rockies won big last night over the San Diego Padres. And they hit a number of home runs. Todd Helton hit a long home run, basically to center field. Another home run for Willeen Rosario. That's 3 ball games in a row. You will not see Willeen today. Here's the Southwest batting order for the visiting Rockies. At the top of the order, it'll be Charlie Blackmon. Jordan Pacheco, who hit .309 last year, will bat second. Then Cargo and Tulowitzki. Tyler Colvin's in right field. Nolan Arenado, he's having a very fine spring. He had a hit last night as well. Ramon Hernandez, we'll talk more about his situation as the afternoon develops. Johnny Herrera's at second base. Juan Nicasio, the hard-throwing young right-hander on the hill. And the former #1 pick out of a high school in Maine. In fact, he was a top 5 selection coming out of high school. Mark Rogers, who should be in their rotation. His velocity's down, though.
Yeah, and that's what they're kind of worried about, is that where did that velocity go? Because he's 6'3", 240 pounds. Spent most of last year at Nashville, a 6-6, a 4.72 ERA. He's had a little bit of a rough spring, and they're just trying to figure out, is it something with the arm, the mechanics, or is it just a product of that period in spring training? But now, this last week is when you should be ramping it up and getting ready for opening day.
You would hope. Here's the Brewers defensively. Ryan Braun, you know all about him, a perennial MVP candidate. Rene Tassoni is in center field. In right field is Caleb Gindel. Third base, the veteran Aramis Ramirez. Gene Segura, they like a lot. He's the young shortstop. Ricky Weeks at second. Alex Gonzalez has now moved from the middle of the infield over to first base. He's had knee issues. Jonathan Lucroy, who had a terrific season last year, is behind the plate. So a number of starters for Milwaukee in the lineup on a Sunday afternoon in Maryvale. And while everybody's stuck at home digging out, we apologize for giving you these statistics. 76 degrees. Very low humidity, and the forecast for no clouds.
We can't rub it in because there was up to a foot of snow in different parts of Denver last night.
And I was talking to my dad earlier. It may snow again tonight.
I heard that.
Charlie Blackmon will step in. The Rockies made some roster moves before the ball game, and one of the guys sent back down in the minor leagues is the guy who's leading off in this ball game, Charlie Blackmon, who was battling again. He's had so many injuries.
Yes, 2 years in a row. Last year was the plantar fasciitis at his foot. This year it was the infection in the knee that set him back. And you just can't do that as a guy in Charlie's position where he's trying to make a ball club and you miss a significant amount of time.
Yeah, if you're not on the field and you're in a battle, I mean, if Ryan Braun's not on the field,
that's
you know
okay.
He's going to be in left field. Cargo's not on the field. But if you're a guy like Charlie Blackmon, who's had his moments in the big leagues, you have to go back a couple of years.
Even 2 years ago in Atlanta when he broke his foot, just rounding the base.
Coming around the bag at second. Charlie takes a strike there. He's a big league player. I don't think there's any question he's a big league player. Rockies have an inordinate amount of depth in the outfield. Makes it tough. And a good lead off at bat for Blackmon. He'll jog down to first. Well, we were alluding to the roster moves that the Rockies made today. Here they are. Tyler Chatwood, Rob Scahill. Scahill pitched last night, sent out. Christian Friedrich. He's just trying to play catch-up. It has nothing to do with performance. He was hurt early on. He pitched just once in a big league game the other day. Josh Outman sent out. Gustavo Molina hit a long home run last night. Culberson they like. He was sent out. Ben Polson. Corey Dickerson, also another guy who swung the bat well.
He raised some eyebrows because he was out there and he was just spraying line drives all over the place. And that's what you have to do if you're a young kid in Corey Dickerson's position. Come up, open the eyes. Even if they send you out, you're still in their mind saying, well, this kid can hit.
And you notice at the very bottom that Daniel Rosenbaum, who was a Rule 5 selection, was sent back out of the Nationals organization, was sent back to the Nationals. And there's a big reason why. The Rockies today signed a veteran pitcher.
John Garland.
John Garland, who's had a lot of success in the big leagues. And he had an out. He was in Seattle's camp. He had an out with the Mariners. So the Rockies have signed Garland. And they've been looking throughout the winter for a veteran-type pitcher. That's in there. Strike on Pacheco. Isn't it amazing how the game can go? Jordan Pacheco, 5th in the National League in hitting last year at .309 as a rookie. He's having a terrific spring. He just can hit, yet he does not have a starting position.
No. Well, all of the spots that he can play, other guys are doing well there too.
Blackman takes off. Lucroy's throw is down low, and he wouldn't have had him if it was a perfect throw. Great jump by Blackman.
Well, that was stolen on Mark Rogers because Charlie Blackman had measured him the first 3 pitches of this at bat. As soon as that foot comes up, he's not even looking back to see. He knows, and that's a wonderful thing as a base stealer. When you take those first 2 strides, you know in your mind you already feel it. I'm going to be safe. It could be a perfect throw, but I'm going to slide in there and I have this base stolen.
See if Pacheco can move him along. Jordan takes a strike there.
But even that last pitch, it was 88 miles an hour, and that's what you alluded to at the top of the broadcast with Rogers, that he's a guy that would sit at 91 to 93, and he's down to 88.
And when he was signed out of high school, he was a mid-90s
right.
guy. You talked about how powerfully built he is. This is a strong guy. 3-2 on Jordan. And Pacheco does his job.
Something that was preached throughout the beginning of spring training, even to today, and then you want to see it carry over into the season. Moving that runner over when there's a guy at second base and nobody out. He has to be at third base at the minimum when your at bat is over.
Little things win games.
Well, they do, and you can say it all the time, but you have to also have that mindset as a player that this is the way we're going to play it. And if I know if I do my job, the next time it comes up where I'm in an RBI situation, that guy before me did his job.
And they have to sustain that mindset because you see sometimes as Cargo steps in. And this is in the air to Braun in left field. And this is called manufacturing the run. Blackman will put it in cruise control, 1-0. Terrific at bat, back-to-back by Pacheco. And then Cargo. He got a pitch elevated. Perfect pitch to get the ball to the outfield. It's move him over, get him in. And what I was saying a moment ago is that needs to be sustained after the emphasis of March once you hit May, June, July.
Exactly, because if it doesn't, everything that you've worked for and everything that you've preached, you might as well have not have done it. But it comes back to Walt and what he's trying to instill, and Dante Bichette, same thing. That this is the way we're gonna identify as our team. It's not just one individual. This is a team concept.
There's so many statistics, as we know, in baseball. And one of them that stands out, if you score in multiple innings, not just, you have a 3-run inning and put up zeros and all it, in the other 8 innings. If you can score in multiple innings, your chances of winning go way up. And so even if this is just a 1-run inning, if you put 2 more frames together where you put a marker or 2 up, the likelihood that you end up shaking hands at the end of the day is far greater than if it's just a 1-inning type of offensive outing.
Well, and I'll take it to the flip side on the opposing dugout. When a club does that to you, your feeling is, okay, we caught up to them, but there they go again. Now we caught up, and they score a couple more. And you always feel like then you're playing catch-up the whole game, and you never have a chance to breathe or make a mistake.
Saw Ron Renicky a moment ago. You always feel like you're getting nicked.
Yes. If it was a fight, it would be body blows.
Right.
It wouldn't be the one to the chin. Those hurt after a while.
And Tulo got a pitch up to handle, and he fouls it straight back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the Rockies had a barrage of home runs last night in the first inning. A 2-run shot from Helton with Fowler aboard. That was followed up a couple of pitches later. Long bomb for Willeen Rosario. The next inning, Josh Rutledge hit one out to extreme left center field. Later in the ball game, Molina hit one out. It's a loud foul ball.
Oh, what a catch.
Really nice grab.
That's why you bring your glove. Now he's on the phone talking to his buddy. Hey, did you see that?
No, Buddy didn't see it. Buddy's just rolling out of the rack Sunday. Dude, why you calling me so early? Another 2-2. And this is hit to fairly deep right center field. And sliding over is Caleb Gindel. A productive first inning for the Rockies. Blackman walked, stole second, moved to third on a ground out. Cargo brought him home on a sac fly. 1-0. One nothing Colorado, and we'll see Milwaukee offensively for the first time. And we'll see Juan Nicasio as well facing him as he gets ready for the regular season. Here's the Southwest batting order for Ron Renicke's club. They'll have Gene Segura leading off. Young shortstop, just turned 23 4 days ago. Ricky Weeks, plenty of pop in the 2-hole. Then the great Ryan Braun, Aramis Ramirez in his second year in Milwaukee. Jonathan Lucroy, Alex Gonzalez, he provides some pop. Rene Tassoni, Caleb Gindel, and pitcher Mark Rogers. In his last outing, Juan Nicasio threw the baseball well, and the reason I paused there, his off-speed pitch stuff was a little better his last time out.
And that's why he threw better. He had the command of the changeup. This will be the fourth time I've seen Juan throw this spring, and first couple times it was just a fastball. Not much feel to the slider or the changeup, but as you mentioned that last time, better feel, especially when he was behind in the count, the 2-1s, 3-1s, where he could go something off speed, not just everything a fastball.
Quickly he's ahead, 0-2 on Segura. I was talking to Nolan Arenado about Segura in the dugout a short while ago, and he played against him in the Texas League. He said he reminds him a little bit of Eric Young. I said, wow, he's that fast? He said he can really motor. And he's going to get tested right now. On the moves, Arenado, and he gets him by a step. So guess what?
Almost on cue.
Yeah, really. And, you know, he came flying toward that baseball talking about Arenado, because no better scouting report than having played against a kid for a while.
Well, and it was smart that he cut in front of Troy to make that play, because even with Troy's arm strength, he wasn't going to be able to sidearm and get Segura at first base, but Nolan cut him off and got rid of it very quickly to make the throw. And with 2 strikes, you're back a couple steps. Early on in that at bat, he was even with the bag. It would have made it easier.
Here's Ricky Weeks, the powerfully built Ricky Weeks. I always say when you see Ricky, he looks like an NFL strong safety. I mean, this dude is as strong as they come. Ricky's battled some injuries also throughout his career. And that pitch is in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The knock on Ricky is too many strikeouts, but he has big time power.
And the slider misses, 2-1.
But even though that slider missed, that was still a good slider. It had depth and bite to it.
And that just missed, so it's 3-1. Young umpire Jeff Morrow's behind home plate. We do have a 4-man crew. A lot of times during spring training, you'll have a 3-man crew. One of the things the umpires do on the base paths. That's ball 4. They'll move around a lot of times during the game just to get work at different spots. The home plate umpire won't. Home plate umpire remains behind the dish the whole time. So a man on with 1 out. Ryan Braun coming up. This afternoon starting defense is brought to you by the Ford F-150. It's built Ford tough. The Rockies have an infield of Arenado, Tulowitzki, Herrera, and Pacheco. Nicasio Hernandez form the battery. In the outfield is Cargo, Charlie Blackmon in center, Tyler Colvin in right. And the interesting thing about that trio is all 3 have the ability to play all 3 outfield spots.
Well, and that's what's nice, and you have that luxury when you go out on the road during spring training, is you can flip-flop them, move them, and see who can play where. But now Walt has an idea that something happens, these guys can move around.
Fastball at 93 misses, ball 1 on Ryan Braun. A lot of controversy surrounding Braun going into last year, similar now this year. And obviously he has handled it very, very well, in that his performance on the field last year was MVP worthy again. He was the MVP 2 years ago and easily could have been the MVP in 2012.
And that's not easy to do, to separate those two things that are going on. One, with the drug issues that he was going through, but then go out and perform on the field and not have it in the back of your mind, and then 2 years in a row have to deal with it, and the organization and Ron Renicky too.
Yeah,
because those guys are asked questions every single day about it.
Tried to bust him in and he missed. Oh, buddy. 2-1 on Braun. Raised in Southern California, went to college at the University of Miami. Good friends with the Rockies shortstop Troy Tulowitzki. And he got the fastball by him. I think more separation that Juan has from that fateful day in August of a year and a half ago allows him to move that incident to the back of his mind and not on every pitch be thinking about the ball back at him. And the reason I bring that up, I think there were times last year, understandably so, that his finish to his pitches would be abbreviated.
Right, it cut it off. And who can blame him? That ball comes back at your head and hits you, you end up breaking your neck. That was scary. I've never seen anything in my 28 years of professional baseball, anything like that. But you're right, now there's more finish out front on all his pitches.
Strike 3 on Braun. Got him looking at a fastball. And that is out number 2 here in the bottom of the first, with the Rockies ahead 1-0.
I think Braun was trying to sell this pitch, and it wasn't a strike. Ron Hernandez had to reach back. It did look like he carried it away from the strike zone, but it did catch the bottom part of the zone.
And strike 1 on Ramirez. Ron Renicky has been bragging on Aramis Ramirez all spring long, and really going back to late last year when they brought up Gene Segura, former Anaheim Angel prospect, one of their better prospects, in fact, with the work he's done in teaching him the game at this level.
Remember last year we went into Milwaukee, I believe it was middle to end of April, and Ramirez was just awful, hitting about $145, and he went into Ron Renicke's office and apologized for how bad he was playing.
That happens every day.
Yeah. And to me, that just shows you the maturity of a guy like Aramis Ramirez, where it's not about him, it's about the ball club. So I take responsibility for how bad I was playing, but also showing the younger guys, this is how you act as a professional.
And here's a professional fielder, Johnny Herrera. He'll toss to first, and a very solid first inning for Juan Nicasio, highlighted by a strikeout of Ryan Braun. 1-0 off to the second. Rockies 1 and the Brewers nothing with Jeff Hewson and Jenny Kavnar. I'm Drew Goodman, looking to save money by using electricity wisely. Listen up, Huey. Find out how the little changes add up at TogetherWeSave.com, your local Touchstone Energy cooperative, delivering reliable power, energy-saving tools, and more.
Got it.
Got a baby. Tyler Colvin will lead it off in the second inning against Mark Rogers. Rockies got a run in the first, a Blackman walk, stole a base, moved to third on a ground out by Jordan Pacheco, and then Cargo hit a deep fly ball to left to plate him. Colvin, Nolan Arenado, Ramon Hernandez here in the second. And Tyler takes a strike. There's going to be a whole lot of competition for playing time with the Rockies, in that their position player depth is outstanding. And Walt Weiss has made a commitment. He wants to get Eric Young on the field as much as he can. If Tyler Colvin hit 17 home runs last year in a platoon role, Jordan Pacheco was fifth, qualified fifth in the league in hitting at 309. The aforementioned threesome, they are not starters.
Right, and that's where, if Eric Young Jr. does start, where he's going to take some playing time away from a Tyler Colvin, maybe a Jordan Pacheco occasionally. You look at moving Kadire to first when Todd gets a day off. There's so many different options you can do, but there will be guys that get less at bats this year if you do go that route than they had last year. No doubt about it. But Eric Young Jr.'s speed and what he's done this spring warrants the top of the lineup type of production.
And though Walt wasn't managing the Rockies, obviously last year was Jim Tracy, Walt has kept up with the ball club. Swung on and missed. Colvin's gone. And he's aware of what EY did when he was playing full time for that month because of injuries, and hit close to 400, was stealing bases and impacting the game every night that he was in it. And then, of course, he had the oblique strain, and that washed away the rest of his season. He brings something that very few teams have, I mean, dynamic speed.
Yes. And Walt being a former middle infielder, and I know this from playing, when those guys at the top of the lineup, I remember guys like Alex Cole, Vince Coleman, Tim Raines, those type of guys, where it would just put you on the defensive, even out on the field, because you knew, hey, I've got to catch this ball. I cannot make a mistake. I can't bobble it. I got to get rid of it. And that just puts the pressure on those guys. And then they get on first. It puts the pressure on the pitcher and the catcher.
0-1 on Arenado. And Hugh, I imagine also when you have a guy who has ridiculous speed like EY, we were talking about Segura last inning, you're going to shorten up a little bit in the infield. So now the holes are a little more pronounced. Right. In addition to what you were talking about, where you still got to get rid of the baseball.
Yeah, so you cheat, your range isn't as big.
Here's the 1-1 on Nolan, and it's a check swing, base hit to right.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, I hit line drives even when I'm not trying to. That'll work.
Well, the old excuse me swing. Excuse me, I didn't mean to swing, and I tried to stop it, and I got somewhere in between, and I get a base hit out of it.
He still found the barrel.
That's right. That's right, because his hands were in a good position. But too many times you do the check swing and you don't want to swing, and it's a dribbler back to the pitcher. And you're jogging down to first going, man, oh man, mumbling to yourself.
So with one out, Arenado at first base, and here is the veteran Ramon Hernandez. So many things went wrong for the Rockies last year and so many injuries. You sometimes forget Ramon Hernandez was one of the significant injuries. Well, Willian's going to start. Now it's a battle for who will be number 2. Ramon Hernandez makes a lot of money, $3.2 million. Yorvi Torrealba's been unbelievable this spring, and he brings that moxie that the Rockies, quite frankly, have been missing.
Well, you think back to the 2 runs that the Rockies had, and an instrumental part that Yorvi played in that. And you know, Chris Iannetta was the starter, and he was the guy. But towards the end, Yorvi was getting the lion's share of the playing time because of what he brought, and the big hits that he got, and the way he handled the pitching staff. And the other thing is he has an out tomorrow, so a lot of this might be cleared up here in the next 24 to 48 hours.
I really believe it's going to be hard for the Rockies to part with Yorvi Torrealba.
I agree.
And again, he's at the stage of his career where he's not looking, not that you don't want to play, you obviously want to play, but he understands he's not a 5-day or 6-day-a-week catcher anymore, and to maybe be a 2-day-a-week catcher and tutor Willeen Rosario and a young pitching staff, with the exception of Jeff Francis.
Right, and with the personality, that dynamic personality, to do that even when he's not playing.
And Ramon Hernandez, who can still swing the bat, has come to camp in great shape. He's lost about 20 pounds from last year. He'll jog down to first, walk behind Arenado's single. 2 on for Johnny Herrera. Johnny's Mr. Spring. That's not to say he doesn't play in the summer either, but Johnny's doing his thing again in spring training, undaunted by the competition from DJ LeMahieu and the crowded infield. All he's doing is hitting .391. Last night, late in the ball game, he laced a double to the right field corner.
Well, he comes to spring training every year ready to go from the first pitch that he sees during batting practice back in February to now. He's put those shoes on and says, let's get after it.
I've never hidden my affection for Johnny Herrera. Well, here's something that people may not realize about Johnny and his family. You know, he's a native of Venezuela. Johnny makes his year-round home in Denver.
Right, lives in Denver and really enjoys it. You know, go back to Venezuela, but his house is there. He made his roots there.
As you know, Huey, and that's kind of a delayed strike call. Johnny doesn't show a lot of emotion, but you could tell as he drags his bat through the front of the zone, he didn't like that call. That looked high.
Yeah, it was up and away.
And that's a swing pitch. Talk about a 2-0 count instead of 1-1. We said it many times, Hugh, you won't find a better guy than number 18.
Well, it's a guy that the manager doesn't have to worry about. Is he going to get his work in? Is he going to be prepared if I call on him in the 6th inning to go out and pinch run or go play defense or spot start? So the manager sits there and goes, why wouldn't you want to have a guy like this on your team?
This is popped up shallow left center, and Segura makes the catch. 2 outs. Now to bring up Juan Nicasio. And like so many pitchers, Juan enjoys swinging the bat.
They all do.
Yeah.
I haven't met a pitcher yet that didn't like to swing the bat.
You know, Francis sometimes will poo-poo that, just say, you know, I'm awful, and be very self-deprecating. But Jeff will give you a good at bat by pitcher standards.
Right, and we've seen him line numerous line drives to left field.
Well, with the early traffic in this inning, at the very least, the Rockies flipped the lineup. And look at that. Oh, base hit to right. And Arenado gets a green light. Here's the throw in the direction of the plate. Not in time. Arenado scores standing up and then nearly takes out the home plate umpire, Jeff Morrow. Trailing him first to third is Ramon Hernandez. Juan Nicasio makes it 2-0 Colorado.
Well, Arenado got on base with the, excuse me, swing to right field, and then the line drive from Nicasio to right field. I mean, this was on the nose, away from him, keeps the head down, drives it that way. A strong throw from the right fielder, just a 2-hopper. Or 3-hopper, excuse me, to the catcher. LaCroix couldn't get Arenado as he comes in standing up.
Charlie Blackmon walked and scored in the first. Yeah, throughout the season, if your pitchers could chip in a little offensively, well, that helps a ton in National League ballparks, man.
Well, it does, because one, it gives them the opportunity to stay in the game longer if they can handle the bat. So you don't have to pinch hit for them in the 5th or 6th inning when you say, well, I really need to get this run or get this guy over into scoring position. If the pitcher can handle the bat, he stays in the game, and then you might go ahead and he gets a chance for the W.
Yeah, I mean, it's, listen, you don't expect your pitcher to go out as a staff and hit 280 across the board, throw out a couple home runs. It's probably not going to happen. But if you have guys that get bunts down, if you have guys that occasionally chip in give you a decent at bat, and they're not just an automatic 3 waves,
just stand there and look at it.
Right. Blackmon got a pitch to hit, and he worked underneath. Gindel in right field makes the catch to close the inning. But the Rockies got a run in the first. They produce a run in the second on the Nicasio base hit, 2-0.
Hey.
Welcome back to Phoenix, Arizona. We're at Milwaukee's home ballpark in the Maryvale section of Phoenix. Rockies ahead 2-0. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Drew Goodman, Jeff Houston. We'll check with Jenny Cavnar in a little bit. She's loitering around the Rockies dugout actually as we speak. Jenny.
Just like that, real time. Here I am, Drew. You know, earlier you mentioned the Rockies signing veteran right-handed pitcher Jon Garland. That's, of course, pending a physical. I did get a chance to talk to Garland today over at Salt River Field, and he mentioned he's just looking for that right opportunity. He feels healthy and ready to pitch again. This is a guy that's coming off a shoulder surgery from late in the 2011 season. He actually didn't play in the 2012 season. He has played 12 major league seasons, though, most of those with the Chicago White Sox, and he spent the last 5 years floating around the National League West. If he ends up in purple, that'll be his fourth team. He's played for all the other teams but the Giants. But it is important to note his spring numbers. He's gone 1-0 in 4 starts with a 2.25 ERA. He's given up 10 hits and 3 earned runs, struck out 4 and walked 5. But even more important than that, when you look at his career ground ball to fly ball ratio, it's a 1.3 to 1, and that's something that the Rockies staff has really emphasized to the Rockies pitchers. They want to get the ball down in the zone and get those ground balls, so they hope a veteran like Jon Garland could add in the rotation, guys.
And as Jenny pointed out, Huey, it's not like he was having a bad spring, and that's why, you know, he's available. He's having a good spring. The numbers may have gotten him in Seattle, so he's looking for another opportunity. And because he keeps the ball on the ground, again, covering what Jenny was saying, it could be a nice fit.
Yeah, he had an out in his contract with Seattle that if he wasn't going to be in the starting rotation, he could get out, go look for another job. And he pitched against the Rockies early this spring in March in a game over in Peoria that I saw and we covered. That he looked good in that game, where he had that heavy sink going on the fastball, and it was 90 to 91 with movement. It wasn't because of the arm surgery in 85 to 86. There was still some power behind the fastball.
You know, what you hope is, you know, if it works out, that you have that, you know, that rejuvenated type of player, and statistically it works out that way as well. And this is a base hit for Jonathan Lucroy to right. And the Rockies through the years have had some success with veteran pickups. I think Sean Estes stands out most notably for me. Darren Oliver. Is he still pitching?
Still yeah, he threatened to retire if Toronto didn't send him back to Texas.
And I think
that's where he's from. But then I think he had 2 or 3 million reasons why not to do that, even playing 19 years in the big leagues.
His wife also said, "You know what, hon, I'm not ready for you to come home yet. You're not 50."
Yeah, he's still in Toronto though.
Wow, what a long and very good career for Darren Oliver.
Well, you know how long it is, Drew? I played with him back in Texas in the early 90s.
Well, I'm rendered speechless after that.
I think one of the few guys that's still he and the name will come to me in just Scott Downs. With the Angels. Those two guys are still with their left-handed pitchers, though.
We saw Downs earlier this year. It was a non-televised game. We were over in Tempe watching the Rockies take on the Angels. Downs was out there on the hill.
Left-handed and breathing.
Yeah.
That's the old line.
You know who finally, I think he's out of the game now, is Big Sweat, Dennis Reyes.
I think he is out. I haven't seen his name pop up anywhere this spring.
It may, though.
Yeah?
Keep reading the transaction wire. Alex Gonzalez at the plate. Leadoff single from LaCroix, and the slider induces a ground ball. There's 1 and there's 2. Gonzalez doesn't run like he used to because of all the knee injuries. That was well turned. Arenado, great feed to Johnny Herrera. 5-4-3. And with 2 outs, that'll bring up Rene Tassoni.
That's what you're looking for, that ground ball out, as Jenny was talking about, what the Rockies are trying to get. You get a single and use that defense that's behind you. And that's what Nicasio did. Everything doesn't have to be a strikeout.
And Tassoni takes a strike. Do you realize that 15 players were originally invited to participate in the World Baseball Classic for a number of countries on the Milwaukee roster. 12 actually did. One of the highest numbers in baseball. The reason I bring it up to Sony played for Team Canada. Cargo tucks that one away. Turns into another strong inning for Nicasio. He's pretty clean through 2. Rockies have a 2-0 lead. Rockies opening day. We'll have a 1-hour pregame show from Miller Park in Milwaukee. Tune in at 11 a.m. Mountain Time on April 1st, 8 days from today, as the Rockies kick off the 2013 season right here on Root Sports. First of 150 ball games you'll catch again on Root Sports. Juan Nicasio pretty good through 2 innings. And Mark Rogers will continue on for Milwaukee. Jordan Pacheco, who hit a ground ball to the right side to move Charlie Blackmon to third in the first, will lead things off. Yeah, I'm intrigued by this Garland signing, Huey. You and I were doing a little homework on Garland this morning, and you know he missed all last year with the shoulder surgery, and most of really 2011 when he was with the Dodgers. But when you go back to 2010, the last time he was fully healthy with the Padres, 14-12 through 200 innings. The year before, he was with the Angels and Padres, won 11 games overall that year, 204 innings. He's a guy that really never dealt with injuries prior to that. He was always making 32, 33 starts, 200-plus inning guy. His best year was 18-10 with the White Sox in 05, followed up another 18-win season in 06 when the White Sox were enjoying great success.
Yeah, 132 career wins for Garland. Let's not forget about that. But it reminds me somewhat of Francis, and where Jeff Francis had the shoulder surgery and came back, and then the year after is not quite as good as the second year out. Now you're talking about Garland. This is his second year out of shoulder surgery, and sometimes with that it takes that long to come back.
And here's something else. John Garland got to the big leagues very early on, so you think, oh, Garland, man, what is he, 37, yeah. 38? He actually is 33 and won't be 34 until very late 2013. And Pacheco told to wait right there. That's a strike. Ron Renicky looking on, and again, he's saying, man, where's the velocity? This guy was a low to mid-90s guy, and he's 86 to 88 right now.
And with pitches up in the zone. That's not a good combination.
Here's the 3-2 on Jordan. And a bouncing ball toward the hole. Nice pickup by Ramirez. One of the underrated third basemen defensively in baseball.
It still has that first step quickness, because when this ball was hit, it had topspin out in front of home plate, and that just gathers steam. But he gave ground and reached out at the right moment, and then just calmly set his feet and made the strong throw. He made that look easy, and it wasn't an easy play.
And now Cargo will step up and put on a kind of a pseudo shift on Gonzalez. Segura pretty much up the middle. Ramirez swung over in the hole on the outside corner for a strike. The outfield straight up. Cargo hit a monstrosity of a home run in his last start on Friday. Ball was headed toward the casino at Salt River Fields.
Those are fun to watch, no matter what side of the fence you're on.
And this is high and deep to center field. Did he catch enough of this one? Not quite. He came up 2 feet short. So a 400-plus foot out, and they're 2 gone with Tulowitzki coming up.
Hey, fans, ask about the Rockies buy one, get one free suite offer. There are 16 buy one, get one dates in April and May, so call today. 303 Rockies, 16 dates in April and May.
Troy takes outside. After the ball game on Friday, Walt Weiss was asked, who hits him farther, Cargo or Rosario? Who would you pick in a batting practice type of competition? And he paused for about 15 seconds, and then he said, you know, it's hard to bet against Cargo.
I'm just sitting here thinking, who would I take?
I mean, Rosario hits him really far.
And I might have to go with Rosario.
Well, you're probably not wrong going with either guy. 2-1 on Troy, and he's a little bit out front.
Well, either way, it would just be fun to be behind the batting cage when they step in trying to outdo each other.
You know, that's one of the treats we have most every day, watching from behind the cage, because there's an old line in baseball, and you played a long time in the big leagues. It's true. When guys like Cargo swing the bat, or Rosario, it does make a different sound off the bat.
And it's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't been behind home plate or hasn't been in batting practice up close where you can hear the sound generated.
And this ball eats up Segura. And you know what? There's a little pain behind the insult to the error by Segura, because I think that kicked off his leg, and that was a hot shot. So a 2-out error, and Tulowitzki at first base with Tyler Colvin.
Well, it was hit hard off the bat of Troy, and that just ate him up.
Got a little deep with the hands.
Yeah, watch where his hands are. They're not out in front, and the other thing is his knees weren't bent enough. Because when your knees aren't bent, your hands start to come up and go back into you. But when your knees are bent, automatically your hands go out in front.
You hear it a lot in football, and it's true in fielding the ground ball. If you're a waist bender as opposed to a knee bender, you're not going to be a good fielder.
No, not at all, because as I mentioned, where the hands position themselves when you bend at the waist, they get stuck behind where your eyes are looking out in front of you.
It's not an athletic position. Colvin struck out swinging his first time. Segura is interesting, Huey, because you don't often see guys move from second base as a minor leaguer to shortstop. Usually it's like, we think the arm's a little short, we're going to flip him from the left side to the right side.
Right.
With Segura, it was the other way around.
But that shows you the arm strength and what they thought of this guy, that the hands were good enough, the arm could do it. We need a shortstop. Let's see how he does over there. And that's what the minor leagues are for, is developing guys. It's not all about wins and losses in the minor leagues. I know some people think that it is. Yeah, you're trying to win, but you also are developing guys to come to the big leagues, and where can they help you? In my mind, you could always move back to second base. If it didn't work out at shortstop, you haven't lost anything.
Kind of mirrors my philosophy. If you have an arm that you're not sure is he a starter or reliever, put him as a starter, because you need, those are harder to find, guys that can get you 6 or 7 innings. And if he fails there, well, then you can visit the bullpen. That's why, you know, I like what the Rockies are doing, is that's a strike on Colvin. With Nicasio, I mean, there's a camp of people that believe, you know, with his stuff, he's better suited to a setup role, maybe even a closer role down the road. But the Rockies want to see if, hey, can this guy be a starter?
Can he develop a second and third pitch consistently? Because if he can, then you have that starter you're looking for. If not, if you think he's a 1.5 type pitcher where he's got the fastball slider, then you put him out there for an inning. But run with it as long as you can.
And again, Colvin is a strikeout victim. So the Rockies leave Tulowitzki on first, 2-0. They lead middle of 3. Beautiful state of Arizona. 2-0 Colorado, bottom of the 3rd inning. Just a little more than a week left in spring training 2013. Have auto glass damage? Call Safe Light Auto Glass, America's vehicle glass experts, 303-287-5000, or go to safelight.com. 8-9-1 to face Juan Nicasio here in the 3rd inning. Caleb Grindle, Mark Rogers, and Gene Segura. Nicasio has allowed just 2 base runners, a walk to Ricky Weeks in the 1st. Jonathan Lucroy, a single last inning. He was erased on a 5-4-3 Alex Gonzalez double play. Here are some of the other pitchers on the trip to Maryvale, about a half hour from Scottsdale. Matt Belisle will get some work. Adam Ottavino, Chris Volstead, and Sullivan, Reardon, and Casava also here.
I was chatting with Matt Belisle in the dugout before the game today, and we were kind of talking about this point in spring training where you got a week left and how do you start to prepare for the season, and this is when the kind of starts to drag a little bit. Matt said, I used this last week and I mentally start to tell myself I'm pitching during the regular season. So it's not just I flip the switch come April 1st. I'm building up and getting into that mindset right now. So when he goes out and pitches in today's ball game, it's trying to mirror somewhat of what the opening day would be like.
That sounds a whole lot like the Matt Belisle we know. He's an intense competitor. And that's down low. And the count has run to 2-2 on Gindle.
Well, and you have to remember, too, this spring training is a week longer because of the WBC than other spring training. So there really is that imaginary wall.
This is day 41 for the Rockies of spring training, which normally is right at the end of spring training. It still is another week to go. The Rockies will conclude spring training, if you will, Saturday in Salt Lake City, taking on the Seattle Mariners. Will carry that ball game. And that's a line drive right at Jordan Pacheco. That'll bring up Rogers with one gone. I thought Pacheco was really comfortable at first base last year when he was asked to play the position, and he got a lot of reps there, particularly the last couple of months after the injuries to Helton and Kadire.
Well, and it comes down to being able to have the footwork around the bag and anticipating throws that are going to be down into the dirt. How do you go and attack them? Do you drop step? Do you knock it down? You have the pitcher coming over and covering, but those are little subtleties that we've taken for granted for so many years watching Todd over there, how easy he makes it look at times. But it's not an easy position, but Jordan does. He has the footwork to play that position.
Here's the 1-1 on Rogers. Swung out a miss, 1-2. You played with a lot of different first basemen in your career. Who stands out as a guy that you knew, even if I threw the ball in the dirt, it's a pretty good chance he was going to pick me up?
There was two guys. Mark Grace was right there, but
hey, now both pitchers have. You know what? Jordan didn't run to the bag because Colvin was thinking, I'm going to go Little League on him and throw him out at first. I don't know if we have a shot of it. Colvin came flying up.
Well, that's every right fielder's dream when the pitcher is hitting. Then I'm gonna try to throw him out at first base. He was ready to gun him. And Jonathan Herrera diving for the baseball. He has just swung way over into right field.
Gene Segura, a little chopper to third. Nice play by Nolan Arenado to throw him out. This ball's well struck right center field. And this one is going to bounce over the wall. That's a break for the Rockies. Well, that ground's pretty hard, man. That thing was like a super ball. So it'll be a ground rule double for Segura. And Rogers has to stop by rule at third base. So 2 on in scoring position for Ricky Weeks with 1 out.
Well, this was a 83-mile-an-hour slider that stayed somewhat flat, but Segura waits back on it and drives it the other way. And fan, you don't even have to get up. You just stay on the blanket out there, let it hop up to you. The other guy was running to get it. That's the easy way to do it, Drew.
It's nice when it's that convenient. Ricky Weeks walked his first time. Let's see how Nicasio handles this. He's got a 2-0 lead, and he misses in at 94.
And real quick, the other guy that I was thinking about, you had Mark Grace at first base. Andres Galarraga.
Big cat.
Big cat over at first base. He surprised you. But those guys, if you just threw it in the area code, they were going to catch it.
Kind of like number 17. Weeks on the ground to first, and Pacheco will go to the bag. Rockies were conceding the run. Nice play by Jordan. And it's 2-1. Segura moves to third, and Braun will come up with 2 out.
And if that ball gets by Jordan, that's going to be 2 runs. Segura would score easily.
Braun caught looking his first time up. A lone strikeout thus far for Nicasio. Mark Rogers looking for some Gatorade and oxygen. Come on, dude. You've been running foul poles for 3 months.
What else do pitchers have to do?
Look out, Huey. What happened, Doris? Did somebody get hit below us?
I think they missed it.
Did somebody whiff?
Yeah.
High fastball roped to left center field, and this will tie up the baseball game. An RBI double for Ryan Braun. It doesn't matter how hard you throw it. He's going to hurt you in all different places in the strike zone, and that was about a chest-high fastball, and he smoked it.
Quick hands from Ryan Braun. Holds the bat up high, but then he's able to stay on top of it. When guys have their hands up high, the tendency is to drop that back elbow and start to work underneath the ball. So anything above the belt, they have trouble catching up to, but not Ryan Braun, and that's why he's one of the best hitters in the National League and all of baseball.
John's saying, dude, that I would have hit that over the wall, not just in the gap.
Ryan's saving it for the regular season. But that's what makes Braun so unique, is that he has power to all fields. And he's not a high strikeout guy either.
No, and he's turned himself into a pretty good left fielder. And the other bonus with Braun is he runs well. I mean, he's going to steal, 20 to 30 bags a year.
Yeah, he is much more. Remember that first year playing third base?
Yeah,
that wasn't good.
That wasn't comfortable for him. 2-2 ball game now. Tough out in Aramis Ramirez. He takes inside, ball one. They check it out at first, no swing. Familiar term in pitching circles, limit the damage. He wasn't able to do it with Braun, and now he's got another veteran RBI guy in Aramis Ramirez. This is where spring training replicates the regular season. That's a very nice slider.
Well, it does, because this is what separates the good pitchers from the great ones, how much damage they can limit. It goes back to giving up a base hit to the opposing pitcher. If you get him out, you got 2 outs in the top of the order coming up. Who knows how the inning plays out?
See if he doubles up on it. No, he goes fastball in, and that is a foul ball. Wow. That was really close. I'm like you, and we're right behind home plate pretty much, and on our angle, I thought this went over the bag.
It looked like it caught the outside corner of the bag, and that's all it has to do. But the third base umpire, no, he had a better angle than we did, but it looked close.
Ball and 2 strikes now on Ramirez.
Now do you go back to that hard slider?
Well, you know what? Ramon's showing in. See if he goes outside again. He does, and he induces a pop-up. See if Ramon has a play. He will not. Ramirez at 327 home runs, 105 ribbies last year in his first season with the Brew Crew.
First season out of Chicago. Played for the Cubs for a number of years.
After coming up with the Pirates. No swing.
To see if he was involved in a deal with Bobby Hill.
Sure. Bobby Hill was a well thought of prospect. You worked with him in the minor leagues, didn't you?
He was part of that deal. Came over from Pittsburgh with Kenny Lofton in exchange for Jose Hernandez, Matt Burbeck, and Bobby Hill.
One of the reasons Pittsburgh has had this long stretch of beneath 500 baseball, some of their deals just haven't worked out. And that is a good fastball. Ramirez gone. But the Brewers even the game at 2. A couple of doubles, one by Segura, one by Ryan Braun. 2-2 as we go to the 4th. Well, it's 2-2. We'd be remiss if we didn't show the hometown of my partner Jeff Houston, and he grew up in a palatial estate. You can't see it. It's that second
It's up on top of the ridge.
Yeah, and he used to rock climb, in the afternoon, and kind of. How'd you get to school again? I forget. There's one. Dante Bichette. Want even more Rockies baseball before the regular season begins? Catch Sunday Night Classics. A lot of fun every Sunday night on Root Sports. Tune in and catch some of the great games in the last 20 years. Tune in this evening at 9 for this week's Rockies Classic game, the inaugural game at Coors Field back in 1995. I think Bichette had something to do with the outcome of that game.
Back when he had a little bit more hair.
Yes. Well, the Brewers have made a change. It's one of their better prospects. Hiram Burgos will take over for Mark Rogers, who goes just 3 innings.
He's still in big league camp. That's the nice thing when you do have that extra week, is it allows guys like Hiram to come out and still pitch against major league players and not be sent out into the minor leagues.
So Nolan Arenado, who singled on a check swing to right field his first time up, will lead things off. And he takes a strike. Slider bounces. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rockies so far 14-11 in spring training. Made a habit of producing above 500 springs. More importantly, obviously, are above 500 regular seasons. It's been a productive spring for the Rockies. They're very pleased with what they've accomplished. Forget wins and losses, just in, this kid's development, for instance, Nolan Arenado.
A different player from last spring training for sure.
A lot more comfortable.
Yeah, he looks like a big leaguer this spring. Not on that swing, but
that was a big league slider.
That was. But it is a spring, different spring in many ways, because you've got Walt, you've got Dante, that they're trying to do their thing and instill their philosophies. But to go out, you have a new manager that hasn't managed before at the big leagues, and he's going through his first spring training too.
Yep. There's adjustment periods for everybody.
Yeah. He does have the veteran sitting right next to him, and Tommy Runnels. Tommy's really the architect behind how spring training runs, where everybody is in the scheduling.
And Ramon takes the ball there. It's 1-1. Ramon walked his first time up. Hernandez was playing for Team Venezuela during the WBC. A disappointing run for Venezuela. It was a short-lived run. Chacin and Cargo joined him. Sharply hit to third. Ramirez, short throw, but Alex Gonzalez came up with it and then kind of glared at his fellow veteran. Come on, dude, get it over here. Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder how he caught that ball. Ramirez is laughing at it. He goes, what do you want? You want a perfect throw at the chest?
Spring training, that's what we're working on here.
Well, fans, for the best ticket values, purchase 2013 Rockies season tickets or 15 to 25 game mini plans. Call 303 Rockies or go to ColoradoRockies.com and look for season tickets for the 15 to 25 game mini plans.
Johnny popped to short his first time. 2 outs, nobody on. Burgos hits the strike zone there. Hiram is from Puerto Rico, but and this is not unusual for kids from Puerto Rico. He played college baseball in the United States at a pretty good program, historically black college, Bethune-Cookman. And in fact, I just heard of. Yeah. Is there somebody, Chaparral, going to Bethune-Cookman?
Riley O'Brien, a left-handed pitcher. He's a senior this year at Chaparral. He's going to Bethune-Cookman.
And Johnny hits it with a lot of English on it, and a nice play by Segura to throw him out. That ball was moving left and right, kind of snaking his way to Segura. Good inning for Burgos. 2-2 ball game. Another view from the living room of Jeff Hewson's home, growing up at least. 2-2 the score, the Rockies and Brewers. This game brought to you in part by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Do a little mountain biking when you were growing up?
More hiking.
Hiking?
Yes.
Had to hike to get off the mountaintop you grew up on. Juan Nicasio completing his warm-up pitches.
But in all seriousness, though, if you've never been to Sedona, when you come to Arizona, you've got to go up there.
The last time I was there was before I knew you. It was gorgeous.
Yes.
Now that I know you, I can't wait to go back, drop your name, and
it won't get you very far.
See what kind of free stuff I get.
I get a cup of coffee.
That'll work. Jonathan Lucroy will lead it off. Nicasio tagged for a couple of runs in the third inning after 2 solid innings. Second time through the lineup. Lucroy had a base hit in the second. And he pops this one up. Arenado and Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki calling and makes the catch. I like those one-pitch at bats. Yeah. Alex Gonzalez coming up.
Well, Alex, we talked about it last half inning, playing first base now, and Matt Gamble. How about the run of bad luck that he's had? Last year he tears his ACL, recovers from that. In the first week or so of spring training this year, he re-tears it again.
Yeah, actually, it was even worse than that. It was the first workout.
The first workout, okay, yeah. But it tears his ACL again. So back-to-back years he's had to have an ACL surgery.
The same one?
Yes.
Yeah, just brutal. Yeah, I think
last year he was going to be the starting first, or he did for a month or so when, Prince Fielder, he was going to take over for Prince Fielder.
Yeah, the Brewers figured to be able to swing the bat again. They survived their first year without Prince Fielder. that we talk about Tulowitzki and Cargo being a great offensive tandem, pretty good defensive tandem also. One of the best tandems for several years resided in Milwaukee with Fielder and Braun.
And the Brewers are going to be without Corey Hart, one of their big bats, for 4 to 6 weeks to start the season. He had knee surgery again, third year in a row that he's had something come up. It was a knee, then it was an eye, and now a knee again.
Well, if he's looking in, happy birthday. Because today, Corey Hart's birthday as he rehabs. Punch single for Alex Gonzalez as the Brewers have one on and one out. Renee Tassoni coming up. Let's go down to the dugout again, see what Jenny's up to. Jenny?
Yeah, guys, we have a couple of starting pitchers we're keeping our eye on as spring training's winding down. One of them, Jorge De La Rosa, who was scratched from his start the other night with forearm soreness. He did make a start in a minor league game today, and word is that he feels great coming out of the game. He pitched 2 innings, about 36 pitches. We hope to talk to Jim Wright a little bit later in our game and get a further update. But as this starting rotation starts to fill itself out over the course of the next couple of days, where do you guys see these little nagging injuries, including Jhoulys Chacin, who also had some back spasms? Where do you guys see these playing into the start of spring?
Well, with Jhoulys, the good news is he threw a couple innings last night, and so the back is not serious. Everything we've been told on Jorge is, you hear forearm tightness. It always
that
can
was
be
scary.
Alarming. But they say that they're just pushing him back a day or so, and he is okay.
Well, they would not have put him out there and pitching today if it was anything worse than that. But you're right, because we heard it last year a couple different times, forearm tightness when he was rehabbing, and then they had to shelve him and move him back. But now with Chacin throwing last night, De La Rosa today, we're seeing Nicasio. Francis has probably been the best group during this spring training, and Drew Pomeranz to fill out the last spot. Christian Friedrich was sent out today. We talked about that back in the first inning. There was the other guy that was battling for the 5th and final spot in the rotation.
And Chatwood did not pitch well this spring. In the case of Friedrich, he just is getting on the mound again. He's had one. Yeah, he's just had one appearance in a big league game. He had a minor league appearance also. So, Christian Friedrich, I talked to him for a while yesterday. He's actually in a very good place. He just has to build up arm strength.
Yeah, but the wild card was John Garland now. Where is he going to fit into all of this?
Well, if John Garland pitches as you saw him pitch, Huey, a few weeks ago, this is chopped foul by Tassoni. Listen, John Garland wasn't picked up to pitch in Colorado Springs, which would mean that it gives perhaps a Drew Pomeranz an opportunity to go down to AAA and continue to work on his craft. I mean, he's had some good moments this spring.
Well, it's not like Garland has been out for 2 or 3 weeks. He's just been out for the last 5 or 6 days while he took his out and hasn't pitched, but he's still been throwing his bullpens and working on the side. So you don't have to worry about building him back up to be able to pitch 5 or 6 innings. He's already there.
Read that piece in USA Today on Kyle Lowe's. He's throwing to high school kids now to keep his arm sharp. Guy won 16 games, lost only 3 last year as Tassoni strikes out. Still looking for a job. He was 16-3 with an ERA below 3 last year with the Cardinals, and he has not found a gig yet.
It's hard to believe that he hasn't. And now, does it go back to his agent, Scott Boras? Is he asking for too much money? Are they afraid of the draft pick that was implemented, the new rules that were implemented this year? The teams are afraid to give up that draft pick? I mean, Scott says yes. That's why teams aren't signing him.
And again, Scott Boras is very good at what he does, and he keeps telling his client to remain patient because teams are going to need pitching. He's absolutely right. I mean,
yeah, but it's easy for him to say. But if you're sitting in Kyle Loesch's shoes and you're not in camp, you can throw to all these high school kids and do all the things you want, but it's not the same. You're still going to be a month out before you feel like I can go out and survive at the major league level anyway.
Breaking the bats of 17-year-olds, not the same thing.
Nope.
Huh?
Nope.
1-1 on Caleb Grindle with 2 outs. Gonzalez at first. Two and one. Casio, good fastball, fouled back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brewers were over 500 again last year. They won 83 ball games. Of course, 2011 they had that great year. They won 96 in the regular season. Their rotation headed by Giovanni Gallardo. That's who the Rockies will see on opening day. That's punched to right. Cargo gets over there. Will be first and second with 2 outs. And Burgos will get to swing the bat here.
3 or 4 years ago, Rockies opened up in Milwaukee, got Gallardo. Opening day there. I'm trying to remember. 2010, I think it was.
I think you're right. The years start to run together. Last year we opened where? In Houston?
Yes.
64 pitches in. We're in the 4th inning, which isn't altogether bad if you can get rid of Burgos pretty quickly. Based on that swing, I wouldn't slow the baseball up.
No. 2 more in on the hands. Be done. Go back to the dugout.
Well, he did. He threw a slider, but it was there, so it's 0-2. Now he's got to go out and pitch next inning. That fastball in.
Off the thumbs?
You know, if he swings and makes contact, you blow up the bat. His fingers are stinging for another inning. That's where they went with it. Ramon Hernandez knows.
Yeah, but not quite the same effect on an 84-degree day as a 54-degree or 44.
As an April day in Minnesota or maybe Colorado. I'd say Milwaukee.
Or Milwaukee before the Dome.
Yeah, when they played at County Stadium. 1-2.
Come on, at least give it to a Brewer fan, Peter. Come on.
Keep traveling around the Cactus League, and I'm reminded that so many of these facilities you called home at one point.
Yeah.
So you didn't go to spring training with Milwaukee, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I was just traded to Milwaukee. So I wasn't in camp, but that was back when they were over in Chandler.
And that misses. So Burgos extending the at-bat a bit longer than the Casio would like.
I've had Tucson, Mesa, Peoria, Tempe.
In this state.
Yes.
Swung on and missed. So Nicasio with 2 aboard strikes out Burgos. We're tied at 2 as we go to the 5th inning and Maryvale. More shots from the Houston family home. 2-2 ball game. Boy, you saw some spectacular sunsets, didn't you?
I did. Right on the other side was my room.
Did you throw it across that canyon? Is that how you built up arm strength?
Just keep throwing rocks.
Rockies fans, Root Sports brings you more spring training games this week. Tune in tomorrow night when the Rockies will be at home to take on the Cleveland Indians at 8 p.m. Mountain Time over at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. Watch the team as they prepare for the 2013 season right here on Root Sports. Be in Salt Lake City later this week as well. Final tune-up Saturday against the Seattle Mariners. Hiram Burgos continuing on, second inning of work, and the Rockies will have Nicasio, who will hit here, get extended work here late in spring training. So it'll be 9-1-2. Charlie Blackmon, Jordan Pacheco to follow. Noticed this last night. It's very typical of spring training this late. Your starters will play, typically around 7 innings, and even last night, Todd Helton stuck around to get his 4th at bat early in spring. A couple of at bats, and then take it to the clubhouse. Not here in the waning days of March.
I ran into Michael Kadire at the Starbucks this morning over by the ballpark, and he has today off, but he had gone 3 days in a row and played all 9 innings last night. So that just, you start to build up that length of games and innings towards the end of spring training. So your condition, once the season hits, I can go out there and go 9 and 9 the next day and the day after.
And what you do with bullpen guys, Rex Brothers, for instance, work back-to-back days on Friday and Saturday, and that's also part of the process for your short guys, your late guys in the pen. Tulowitzki should be out there most of the day. And this is bounced up the middle with top spin and eyes, and look who's 2 for 2, Juan Nicasio. What's so tough about this?
Yeah, but he's saying, can I save those for 10 days from now? No, you can't, but it feels good.
Charlie Blackmon, a walk and a run scored in the first. He also had a stolen base and then a fly ball to right field his last time up. The Rockies today signed John Garland, who is 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA in 4 starts with the Seattle Mariners. He had an opt-out clause in his contract. He utilized that a few days ago, and the Rockies signed him today. And that misses to Blackmon. Changeup.
Good changeup. We've seen a hard fastball, slider, and changeup.
Got some stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why he's one of their top prospects. And that was the count, a 1-1 changeup. It just puts the hitter, when you have that in the back of your mind as a hitter and a pitcher can do that, that's what separates pitchers. That's a separator pitch on the 1-1s, the 2-1s.
That missed, so it's 3-1. Excuse me, 3-2.
wonder if they put Nicasio in motion with Charlie.
Nope. Looking at Stu Cole flash the signs down at third. Stu, longtime skipper in the Rockies organization. Last few years, Colorado Springs, the Rockies' new third base coach. Renee Latchman, who worked with Stu last year in Colorado Springs, is at first base, and that's ball four. So Nicasio to second, Blackman to first, 2 on, nobody out here in the fifth in a 2-2 game. And that'll bring up Jordan Pacheco.
Well, fans, you can follow the Rockies on your phone with MLB.com at Bat 2013, featuring spring training updates and highlights. Text at Bat to 31826.
Ball one on Pacheco. Jordan a ground ball to second and a ground ball to third.
Pacheco still hasn't gotten over the New Mexico loss to Harvard.
No, he hasn't. Nor has Mike Brackett. And I think several others. 14th seeded Harvard. How are you doing, by the way? Your bracket?
Yeah, it's like everybody else's, I think.
I had Georgetown in the finals.
I had New Mexico going a ways, too. I think it was the old Mountain West tug.
Can I brag for a moment, though?
Sure.
I had all 3 12 seeds. 3 that won.
Did you?
Yeah. This ball is lined to right, but right at Gindel. First out of the inning. That'll bring up Carlos Gonzalez. Sac fly to left field his first time up for Cargo. And also a long fly ball to the top of the wall, where Tassoni made the catch in center field. He hit it well over 400 feet.
How far did you have Gonzaga going?
Farther than they went. How about that?
Me too. I do think Louisville's a real deal. After watching them yesterday against Colorado State, their defense was suffocating.
I'll tell you what. Listen, Colorado State had a great run this year. Great win. They played so well against Missouri. A great group of seniors. They just ran into they're the top seed.
Yeah.
They ran into a team that is really, really talented. And they were game for a while.
Yeah.
They hung in there, but tip your cap to Louisville.
Well, Larry Eustace has that program on the rise. He's taking over for Tim Miles.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-0 on Cargo. And 3-0. Burgos has his baseball card. He said, you know what? There's a lot of really big numbers on the back of that card.
Right. Heard about this guy. Now I have to face him.
That's 3-0, and it's March 24th.
Sure.
Even if it was June 24th, he may be firing here. He's a good 3-0 hitter. And you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, some guys aren't.
You probably play with a lot of great players. I mean, guys who put up ridiculous numbers, they just weren't comfortable swinging 3-0.
Because you don't get that opportunity very often. Growing up, 3-0, let's take that walk. So guys aren't accustomed to swinging. So then if they do get that green light, they'll swing as soon as that arm starts to come forward. It could be like in Bull Durham where the ball hits the backstop and a guy's firing at it.
And there's no worse feeling than making hitting a rollover ground ball on a 3-0 pitch.
Right.
Bases juice, nobody out. And here's Tulowitzki. Looping curveball that fooled Tulo. but he still didn't think it was a strike.
No.
It was called a strike by Jeff Morrow. And you know what? I understand why Troy was upset.
That looked like a better pitch than that breaking pitch.
Let me correct something I said. I said there was nobody out. Base loaded, 1 out because the line drive by Pacheco to right. Troy 0 for 2, reached on an error by Segura, the shortstop, his last time up. And 2-1. Nicasio had a base hit up the middle, bouncing ball, and then Blackman walked, and after the line out by Pacheco, Cargo just walked on 4 pitches. 2-2 ball game in the 5th. Near the Maryvale section of Phoenix. Over the Milwaukee Brewers. 2-1.
Talking to Ron, that right guy right there. He's seen another policeman, I'll tell you that. He's seen a whole lot of them.
Rene Latchman at first base. Rene can be heard. I mean, he is a guy that does not need a loudspeaker. This should be too. Burgos works out of it. He gets Tulowitzki to bounce into the 6-4-3, so we're locked up still at 2 apiece as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Time for the Cooney Lexus look back, brought to you by Cooney Lexus, where luxury has an address. Rockies in the first inning manufactured a run. Cargo would drive in Blackman, who walked, stole second, moved to third on a ground ball. And in the second inning, the Rockies would get another run. Juan Nicasio with 2 outs, lines a clean single to right. So the Rockies got their first 2 runs. Nolan Arenado scoring there. Nolan had singled earlier in the inning. Third inning, though, Milwaukee would catch up. Ricky Weeks, an RBI ground out to first. And then perennial MVP candidate Ryan Braun unloads a run-scoring double to bring in Gene Segura. 2-2 is where we stand. The Cooney Lexus look back. Drew Goodman, Jeff Hewson, and Jenny Kavnar. Juan Nicasio out there for his 5th inning of work. And he'll get Segura, Ricky Weeks, Ryan Braun, the top of the Milwaukee order here in the 5th. This is where you're always interested in how a pitcher handles himself third time through a lineup. And he's got a veteran catcher guiding him through in Ramon Hernandez.
We'll see if he throws more changeups this inning, because we've seen a number of sliders today and a lot of good ones. but not as many changeups as he threw in his last outing.
No, we haven't seen that pitch as much, and let's see if it shows up here a little bit in the 5th inning.
And this is where you would break it out in a game if you were going to use it during the course of a regular season. He started Segura off with the slider last time up, and he drove it to right center field for the double.
Good running fastball just inside. And that is another sinking fastball.
That's a two-seam pitch. That not the four-seam that he throws. And the four-seam will be at 93 to 95. The two-seamer at 90 to 92. I mean, there it goes back to the power fastball.
One ball and 2 strikes. Segura led the Dominican Winter League in hitting this year. He was part of the Zach Greinke deal. Milwaukee sent Greinke to Anaheim a year and a half ago. Here's the 1-2. Breaking ball, and that got too much of the plate. See where Hernandez set up. He wanted that thing off the plate, kind of a chase slider. Instead, he got a slider that hung up on the outer third.
And if it doesn't go away from the barrel of the bat, that's why Segura is able to reach out. And Hernandez wanted it out on his right shin guard, and that split the middle. But if it doesn't have the bite going down and away, you could still take that top hand off the bat and reach for it and get some extra length on the bat to hit the ball. As we always talk about short, late break and depth, those are the ones that you get the swings and misses on.
In the kitchen of Ricky Weeks. Braun to follow. Pitch count above 70 for Nicasio. Rockies have some action in their bullpen. Jim Wright, I'm seeing off camera, waving down to the Rockies bullpen. Wants to know if this pitcher down there is ready. Arenado has to go to first with this. Segura crosses to second. On the fielder's choice, Segura, the go-ahead run in scoring position, and Ryan Braun will come up.
Well, they're having to do it the old-fashioned way. The phones, I guess they're not working in the dugout down in the bullpens because Jim Wright is in the minor leagues. You don't have that, so you have different signs for every pitcher that's out there. So he had just walked down there in between innings, let him know what's going to happen, but he's also talking to Bo through different hand signals saying, okay, stretch him out. He needs to get ready to go into the game, whether it's at the end of this inning or he'll be out there to start next inning.
You can't just tweet him.
Well, you probably could in this day and age. It'd be quicker.
Big swing and a foul tip into the glove of Ramon Hernandez on a slider that was left up.
Or just shoot a quick text out there.
There shouldn't be communication gaffes in this day and age. Remember the one that was claimed by Tony La Russa a couple of years ago in the World Series, and he got the wrong guy up? Kidding me?
Right.
Tony may have protected somebody. 1 ball, 1 strike on Braun. Braun, another lousy year last year. 41 home runs, 112 ribbies, and a .319 batting average. I'm amazed he was invited back to camp this year. What was Doug Melvin thinking?
Right. Well, I still go back, though. How does a kid from Southern Cal get all the way out over to the University of Miami? What's UCLA, USC thinking, letting him get out of their backyard?
Well, the U,
or Long Beach State.
Yeah, the U has it's been one of those programs that been able to draw people from far and wide. The allure of South Florida. And when he was there, they were rolling.
Yes, they were. I just saw Walt Weiss's old alma mater, North Carolina's #1 in the college baseball ranks.
Another great program. They've always harvested a pretty good crop from the Northeast. Of course, Walt was signed out of Rockland County, New York, signed by North Carolina. And one of his running mates was B.J. Surhoff from Westchester County, where I grew up.
Played with B.J. in Baltimore.
Yeah, Rye High School. B.J., what do you have, about 2,400 hits in the big leagues? #1 pick in the country out of North Carolina. Those two played together for the Tar Heels. It's terrific baseball
B.J. was an intense guy. He catch for a while. He played left field, and he could do it all.
He was a shortstop also. He could run. He was one of those. He's kind of like Biggio. He's one of those guys. He was much bigger than Biggio, but he's one of those guys that was a catcher, but didn't have catcher athleticism.
No.
He had middle infielder athleticism. Good bloodlines. His late father played in the NBA. Brother Rich played in the big leagues also as a pitcher. 2-2 on Braun. And that's the slider that, now Braun stayed off it, but that's where he was trying to get the pitch to
Segura.
With Segura.
Yeah, to get it off the plate, start it coming out of the hand as a fastball, and work it and get the hitter to chase.
You don't hit .319 because you chase a lot of pitches. So now it's 3-2. He's got to come in there. Segura, the go-ahead run at second. And he misses in, so Braun goes to first. Not the end of the world. It sets up a force all around. And Aramis Ramirez will come up. We welcome you to Phoenix and Maryvale Baseball Park, the home of the Brew Crew. 2-2 ball game with Jeff Hewson and Jenny Kavnar. I'm Drew Goodman. We'll be with you again tomorrow night from North Scottsdale. Rockies home at Salt River Fields as the Rocks will take on the Cleveland Indians. Ramirez, a ground ball to second and a strikeout against Nicasio. This figures with the pitch count to be the final inning of work for Juan.
Well, tomorrow for the Rockies, it'll be Jeff Francis against Brett Myers.
Jeff's had a gorgeous spring. Unscored upon in 29 of his 30 innings. Fly ball to right field. Tyler Colvin coming on. He makes the catch. Two gone. And another tough out, Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy had the distinction last year doing something very few catchers have ever done in history. He had a 7 RBI ball game. He had 2 of them, in fact. 2 7 RBI games in the same season. So 14 of his 58 came in 2 ball games last year. And both of those 7 RBI games, as you probably guessed, featured a grand slam. Jimmy
He's
Wright.
Not known for his power. I mean, he has decent power, but he's not a power guy. More gap to gap.
See that youngster has an Ubaldo Jimenez jersey on, and I don't know who's scheduled yet for Cleveland tomorrow. Did you say?
Yeah. I just Brett Myers.
Oh, I'm sorry. You just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I just heard you say that.
That's
too.
right.
So we won't see Ubaldo tomorrow.
Well, it was last year we saw Ubaldo, and that's when he hit Troy on the
snap throw to first, and Segura moves up. That's good base running by Segura.
Smart base running. Because watching this, when Hernandez came up, I thought he was going to backpick at second because Segura was off so far. But they tried to get Braun at first. Now watch Segura. This is where I thought they were going to backpick Segura because he had already started taking off before that ball was released.
I like the typically here's the 0-1 pitch or the 1-0 pitch that misses 2-0. I typically like the back pick on the trail runner, Huey. I don't know what your philosophy is because you can catch guys napping.
Yes. Well, because you're thinking of that guy out at second base, and you're thinking, is he going to take off? What's his secondary lead? So you might have turned your head just to see what he's doing, just enough where you're not paying attention to what's happening behind you. But you've got to rely on that first base coach at that point. He's got to tell you to get back or watch the back pick.
Mr. Ord at first base.
That's Garth Ord.
Yeah. Real good baseball family. And this is fisted to shallow left. Cargo will get there. And Nicasio punches a fist in the glove. No damage done. Good pitching. We'll go to the sixth, tied at 2. Two as we go to the sixth inning. Good ball game. Juan Nicasio's pitched well, and the Rockies will have the middle part of their order coming up. Have auto glass damage? Call Safelite Auto Glass, America's vehicle glass experts. 303-287-5000, or go online to safelite.com. Tyler Green out of the 5 spot. Nolan Arenado, Ramon Hernandez. And it'll be the third inning of work for Hiram Burgos. 3 innings from Mark Rogers. He gave up 2 runs, a couple of hits, a couple of walks, a couple of strikeouts. Colvin, a couple of strikeouts so far. And this is popped up to short. Still trying to track the jersey number of who's playing shortstop right now. Number 90 is not on my scorecard.
I don't have him either. We'll try to get it for you, though.
I know this much, that at third base now is Stephen Parker. Curveball, strike one on Arenado. Nolan 1 for 2. And Arenado skies it to right field. Easy play for Gindel. And while he makes the catch, we'll go to the dugout. And Jennings with Jim Wright.
Hey guys, Jim, of course you just were telling me that Juan Nicasio done after 5. You sure you don't want to keep him in to hit a little more? 2 for 2 today at the plate. You guys been working a little bit on the swings?
Yeah, absolutely. He's swinging the bat well, but he pitched enough today in 5 innings. It's kind of one of those down days where you get a little dead arm period and dead body period. So for him to get 5 innings in and get his pitch count in, we're very pleased with it.
Of course, I know you've been working a lot on his changeup. We didn't see too much of it today, but where is he at with that secondary pitch heading as we're just getting really close to the season starting?
Much better, Jen. You know, the first thing was his slider, in which he threw a lot today and increased the speed on it. And he's made incremental strides each start, and today was even better. So it's coming along the way I planned for it to. And there's definitely room for improvement for his third pitch, but they're both right where we need to be at this point. So with one more start to go, I think he's going to be fine.
Jorge De La Rosa pitching in a minor league game today. Where is he at right now in terms of his soreness and coming back?
He's fine. You know, he had a little setback in his forearm. When I say setback, I think it's probably just tearing through some of the heat scar tissue from his surgery a couple of years ago. And he pitched 2 innings today, and he was fine. He threw his curveball, and that's what he was tentative with. So he's good to go. He'll make his next start.
All right, Jim, thanks so much for your time and catching up with you. We will take a break here from the desert. We're all tied up at 2.
Always a highlight when you're at a Milwaukee Brewers game is the famous or infamous sausage race. This is a highlight. I mean, it rivals what happens in Washington with the dead president's race, and you get the sausage race in Milwaukee.
Did Teddy finally win late last year?
Late last year, they let him win 1 game.
Well, I was just talking to our colleague and friend Billy Schroeder, who you played with with Milwaukee, I believe. Did you play with Billy? Did you overlap?
No.
You didn't overlap.
No.
Okay, well, anyhow, Billy, of course, stole the chorizo costume. He said he liked the hat, and he paraded around downtown Milwaukee for a few days. Actually, it wasn't Billy. But good to see the Chorizo back in action. Matt Belisle's back in action. He's on the hill here in the top of the 6th inning. 2-2 ball game. Matty with a 3.12 ERA in 8 ball games so far this spring, getting his work in. He tried the backhand stab of that. Didn't work out well. And Alex Gonzalez has a leadoff knock.
Just 3 runs given up for Matt Belisle in 8 2/3 innings heading into this game. Yorvi Torrealba taking over for Ramon Hernandez behind the plate. Pinch hit for him last half inning.
It's still Tulowitzki, still Cargo. And again, we talked about this yesterday. Walt trying to get 4 at-bats for his regulars. He did it last night at home. He's doing it out here on the road in Maryvale. Rene Tassoni at the plate. He takes a strike. Did get some more names of guys who are now participating. Ben McMahon was in left field last inning. And Nick Shaw was at second base. Yadiel Rivera was at shortstop.
Here we go.
Hernandez. You know what? The tutoring and the conversation between veteran catcher and pitcher never ends, unless they're talking about their bracket. It could
now, I think he's talking about where do you want to pitch guys, try to hit the outside part of the plate, or we're looking at splitting the plate to thirds.
Ground ball toward the hole. That's going to sneak through. First and second. We'll find out exactly what they were discussing because Jenny's been eavesdropping. Jenny?
I have been eavesdropping, but you know what? I'm not a good translator, so I'll just ask Ramon Hernandez. You've been chatting here with Juan Nicasio for a little bit. How would you assess his outing today, and what were you guys really trying to work on?
Especially he's trying to spike his fastball from both sides of the plate. Then he's working on his changeup also. His slider been very good all the way, so it was more fastball changeup kind of game today, and we was talking about that he wasn't feeling great today. He was feeling like kind of weak, and it's one of those starts that he pitched 5 innings, but he pitched 5 innings with his heart out. I mean, he was really hard 5 innings, so I think he went through out of it. We working what he wants, his fastball, especially with 2 strikes, trying to get in on hitters, trying to spot the fastball in, maybe get some guys looking. Yes, no, there's going to be a slider or foul down the way. So he's trying to work more on the left side of the play, and then that's what he did today.
Well, there has been a lot of spring training with the WBC. You've caught a lot of innings so far and a lot of different pitchers. Who have you seen out of the Rockies staff, perhaps starters or bullpen-wise, that has really improved this spring training compared to last season?
You know, Nicasio's one. De La Rosa have been pitching great, after, especially when he got Tommy on surgery. Chacin is very healthy, so it's totally a different guy. Then you got Francis to do his thing. And the fifth spot is a lot of guys fighting for him. Shagwood, Sporgerson. And those guys, they're pitching pretty well. They're competing a lot. And out of the bullpen, you know, I catch Pelayo. All those guys been doing his thing. Pelayo, brother, Betancourt. And now they're trying to get another right-hander, Scalona. He's pitching very well. I think that's the best improvement that they got the whole spring. He's pitching absolutely great. And I think a lot of guys have been working pretty good. And the years pass, I think they're getting older and they understand the game more. And their preparation is a lot better and they concentrate more.
Well, speaking of preparation, Ramon, you came into spring a little bit lighter, about 20 pounds lighter, getting in good shape, good physical shape as a veteran catcher. And then you've also had Yorvi Torrealba in camp. What has that camaraderie been like? What has the competition been like? And how have both of you been able to aid to William Rosario's growth?
I mean, we compete running. We sprint a lot, but nobody beat nobody because we both slow anyway. No, you know, I've been playing with Jory for years, bunch of years. We know together more than 10 years. We played together in Winnipeg for like 8 years. We've been seeing each other some here in Venezuela also. And it's a great guy. It's always happy and joking around. And a little more quiet, but still joke around. But we got good relationship. We met at home sometime doing barbecue. And then here we don't look at it as a competition. I think both of us got to do our thing when we go play. Prepare ourselves when we got a shot to play and catch and trying to do the best we can. Not only for the Rockies, you know. I mean, I think you got 2 guys and I guess it's another team that might need a catcher who you never know. You know what I mean? All we can do, we go out, we have fun, we play hard, we prepare ourselves to play the best game that we can. And we don't see it as a competition. I hope he does bad. He does the same thing for me. I hope we do good. You know, we do good as 30 teams on baseball. So all we got to do is go out, prepare ourselves, and try to play the best baseball we can.
All right, Ramon, always so much fun to talk to you. Thanks for your time, guys. We'll send it back to you.
All right, an RBI hit. Jenny, tell Ramon, though, we're cracking up here because Ramon has a great sense of humor. That was the line of spring training.
He heard your laugh, I think. They're cracking up at you. You had the line of spring training about how you and URB are pretty slow. Put Drew and Huey on the line, though, with you, though, and you might have a four-way tie.
Yeah, we might.
I think they'll beat us.
Well, I'm going to put my money on Huey still.
That was good.
That was great. He goes, we compete when we're running, but it's not really a competition because we're both slow. Nobody wins.
But I liked what he had to say there about the way the guys are working, but also that you do go into camp and you have competition, but you never wish bad on anybody else. At least I didn't feel that way, and you could tell that from Ramon's answer with URV. They're both going out there and competing, and there's always scouts at the game, and no matter what happens, you're always trying to do your thing to stay in this game longer. And what a resource of knowledge both Ramon and URV for Wallin to lean on.
Yeah,
that experience.
That is a bonus because you have a lot of young pitchers, a lot of developing pitchers also. You saw how much time Ramon was spending with Juan Nicasio, and that's not to mention the time they spent with the young catcher. They're going to try to get the force at third, safe there, throw to first, safe there, bases loaded. Well, the Rockies defense struggling a little bit. That was scored an error, by the way, that hard hit ball up the middle that kind of ate up Tulowitzki that gave Milwaukee the advantage. The catcher, Torrealba, is the one making the call, and Matt fired to third. It was a bang-bang play at third, but the call was safe.
Yeah, what the third base umpire was saying was his foot was off the bag. I don't think it was.
Looks like he was out from that angle. Clearly he's safe there. Let's get a better angle on this.
See, watch his right foot. Is it up off the ground when he catches it? It might have been, and that's what they called. If it's a good throw, he's out. Right? It's tough to... Yeah, it looks like that foot is not staying on the bag.
So it was a good call. This is looped to shallow left. Cargo coming on. He's going to have to, well, he can't even play it on a hop. It's going to produce the fourth run, a bloop single. From Nick Snow. And it's 4-2.
Cargo gets the break that he wants. He just can't catch up to it. It's dying, and he tried for the sweep of it. Backing up was Charlie Blackmon. No place for Carlos to go. If he comes up with that ball, everybody had already advanced.
This is Ben McMahon. Bases loaded, still nobody out. Double play ball. Well, maybe not. And a top spin, and Tulowitzki didn't handle that one. A two-run single, and it's 6-2. Shaw to third base.
Both balls this inning have just eaten up Troy. He's backed up on him. And with the hard dirt late in spring, that catches that extra bounce. It's called an Arizona hop because that ball hits that dirt. It's been packed down by the sun and has top spin.
This is Stephen Parker at the plate.
No. It is a base hit. The two errors this inning is the first one on Troy and then the high throw from the pitcher to third.
Did they put that up? I'm trying to keep track here. Did they put that up then? This ball is a towering fly ball to right field. It's going to stay in the ballpark. It's going to produce another run. Colvin makes the catch. And also moving up from first to second is McMahon. 7-2. Milwaukee. It was 2-2 when this inning started about 7 minutes ago. So sac fly by Parker. Yeah, because you could also give an error. You probably should give an error on the Matt Bilal throw because you're saying he would have been out. You could have scored at a fielder's choice, though.
Right.
Sac bunt, fielder's choice.
Fielder's choice.
Snap throw to second by Torrealba. Well, it has not been a pretty
no.
This is Yadiel Rivera. Two balls, two strikes. 5 runs for the Brewers here in the 6th inning. Strike 3 on the outside corner. Second out of the inning. And Jonathan Lucroy is still involved, so he'll come up. He's the 9th man to hit here in the inning. One of the battles going on, final bullpen spots. Manuel Corpus, man, he threw last night. He's heavily involved. He threw a scoreless inning, walked 1, struck out 1. He's got a 3.86 ERA in the spring.
And you heard about Ramon Hernandez talking about Escalona.
Blackman makes the catch. 5 runs come around. There were a couple of Colorado errors in the inning. It's 7-2 Milwaukee. Well, Rockies trailing 7-2. Your Villarreal talking with Matt Belisle after that tough inning. Burgos still out there. This will be the 4th inning of work for Hiram Burgos. And Johnny Herrera will lead it off. Eric Young Jr. will pinch hit for Belisle. And then it'll be Charlie Blackmon and the Rockies top of the order. Rockies been out hit 11-3 in the ball game. The 3 hits, an Arenado single, which was a check swing single, excuse me, and the other 2 hits from Juan Nicasio. That's it.
Yeah, and there haven't been a whole lot of other balls that have been hit hard in the game.
You know, Cargo had a deep sack fly,
yeah, and the one to center
that was caught at the top of the wall. But you're right. Other than that, Milwaukee has pitched very well, especially this kid, Hiram Burgos. Strike 1 on Johnny Herrera. Johnny, a pop out and a bouncer to short. And Jim Wright visiting with the veteran Matt Belisle. 80 appearances last year for Matt. This is reliable as they come as a setup man in baseball. 1-2.
Yeah. Remember Eddie Guardado, Everyday Eddie?
Sure.
Got to come up with a name for Matt.
Well, I know where you're going with this, and hopefully it won't be Everyday Matt in 2013, because 80 appearances is probably about 10 more than you'd like to see him have, or anybody have.
Anybody. But he's never one to turn down the baseball.
No, he won't do that. And Johnny lifts it to shallow left. McMahon makes the catch, 1 out.
All fans on April 5th will receive a 2013 Rockies magnet schedule courtesy of King Supers. San Diego Padres and Bud Black in town.
Heard of them. Saw them last night, in fact. Jolie Chassin got a couple of innings of work after missing his last start with some minor back spasms. Ely laces a line drive, base hit to left. He has had a terrific spring. You noted this earlier in the spring. Even EY's BP, a little more authority.
Yeah, and a lot more line drives. Early in his career, he was taught so much to get on top of the ball, which he needs to do, and hit it on the ground and use his speed. But also now it's more of a flatter path through the zone, and it's producing more line drives.
One out, Blackmon at the plate. And Charlie takes a strike. Charlie is 0 for 1, pair of walks. He'll score to run. He also has a bag today, stolen base. And he went 2 strikes. What's the guideline in spring if you're a stolen base guy, even though you wouldn't run normally 5 runs down, but in spring training you're always working on something.
I don't think there's really any guidelines in spring training. I know where you're going. If you wanted to try to steal,
he would
okay.
be, yeah, he would be reprimanded.
No, not at all.
Close, and that's why Burgos
right, giving him his A+ move. Quick feet. That's about as close as you're going to see, and that's the maximum lead that Eric Young Jr. should be getting.
And you know what else? You file that away, whether this kid breaks out of spring training or not with the club, and it's more than likely he's going to be in the minor leagues. But this is a big league pitcher, and when you see him down the road, you file away. You know what? His A move is a legit A move.
It's good, and that's the other benefit of playing against teams that you're going to play during the regular season and spring training for just this purpose. So the first time he goes out on the mound and you see him is not during the regular season.
This ball's well hit right center field. And it is missed out there, and Eric Young Jr. had to wait, and he is now flying to third, and he's in there safely. A double off the bat of Charlie Blackmon. Good base running by Jr. He went about 80 of the 90 feet because the ball was hit so deep that if the catch was made, he could still get back to first base.
Charlie, short, compact swing, hits it into the gap in right center field. Right fielder just didn't have enough reach to get that. And as a base runner, you're right, Drew. You're sitting there at 80 feet, 10 feet away from the bag. Did he catch it? Did he not catch it? And then when it drops, Eric Young just outruns the baseball.
Here's Pacheco. Jordan gets a curveball, misses, ball one. Jordan in the game, 0 for 3, lined out to right his last time up. Strike 3 on Pacheco.
Not sure what Jordan was looking for. Was he thinking it was going to be another breaking pitch? Because that was a fastball, entered third.
Carlos Gonzalez sac fly, the deep fly ball to center, and a walk, so officially 0 for 1. We'll go get this at bat and then probably have the rest of the afternoon off on defense.
See a lot of guys down in the dugout getting loose. DJ LeMahieu.
Cargo reported to camp last year, and he was big and strong. He's puffed up probably about 230, a little close to 235. By the time the season got going, he was about 220. This year, he's trimmer. Camp obviously started a month and a half ago, but he came in strong, but with about 10 less pounds on him. Sometimes, you know, with these, you know, I don't want to call them baggy jerseys, but not tight fit jerseys, you don't realize how strong some of these guys are. Cargo's well put together.
just moving better with the less weight, especially in the outfield.
Yes.
And he's mentioned it. He didn't play as well out in the field last year as he had in the previous year. But just his lateral quickness, what I've seen in the spring, is the less weight is making him move better.
2-2. EY at third, a leadoff single. Blackman at second. He doubled. Actually, for EY, a 1-out single. And Cargo just did get a piece to keep the AB alive. Tulowitzki on deck. Renee Latchman in the background. Hey, base hit, ball 4.
That's universal.
Yeah,
you
hear
go
that
to a Little
dugout
League field and hear that.
Yeah, from 8 years up.
This is Renee's 50th year in pro ball.
That's all.
Done and seen it all.
Been a big league manager also.
Bench coach when I was with the Cubs.
Another 3-2 and ball 4. So that will load the bases for Tulowitzki. Second time Troy's had an opportunity with the bases full this afternoon. His first time he bounced into a 6-4-3 double play. EY at third. Charlie Blackman is at second base. Now Cargo at first. Ron Renicky coming out, and he's going to take the baseball. Partial pitch count deal. 3 2/3 for Hiram Burgos, and he goes off. 7-2 Milwaukee. New pitcher's Brandon Kinzer. He's looking for the final out here in the 7th inning. The Rockies had the bases loaded. Tulowitzki coming up, and 2 men out.
Kinsler, a little over a year of service time in the major leagues. Last 3 years, bits and pieces Pitching for the Brewers in 2012, 3-0 with the 3.78 ERA and 16 2/3 inning.
Blake Lolly's behind the plate. Jonathan Lucroy goes off. Fly ball to right, reached on an error, and the 6-4-3 double play for Troy. Outside ball one. Talking to Michael Kadire last night about, and each guy's different, number of at-bats that you know, a veteran player, veteran starting position player wants to get. And for Kadire, it's somewhere between 60 and 70. I've heard guys, remember Larry Walker, he was good with about 35 to 40.
It's all a personal preference. And also, how did you, when you came into spring training, how were you feeling? How much work did you get in prior to that? And then the first week to 10 days of spring training, how did you approach those at bats? So that's why guys are different in what they need. I mean, Todd said 25 to 30 would be good enough. I always felt like the more pitches you could see during spring training, I think the more it prepared you going into the season. So if you got 40 to 50 at bats during the spring, I thought that was great.
Did you file stuff away just in the back of your head, or would you take notes on pitchers?
Just usually in the back of my head. Because, before interleague, too, especially, because you would see pitchers so many times.
Right.
That you didn't need to carry a book, per se, because you already knew how this guy pitched you.
2-1. That bounces up there. Pretty good pickup by Lolly. When a guy scoops a fastball in the dirt, there's a lot of good fortune behind that. When you call breaking ball, slider, curveball, you anticipate as a catcher ball being in the dirt, and that's why you see those guys block that pitch usually very, very well. Fastball in the dirt, it gets on you too quick, and you're not expecting it.
Well, and not one that bounces at 58 feet.
3-1, and again he bounces it, and that walk will force in the Rockies' third run. Come on down, Eric Young Jr. 7-3, and that'll bring up Tyler Colvin. For Ribby on the bases-loaded walk for Tulowitzki. Colvin's 0 for 3, couple of punch outs and a pop out, and this will get Milwaukee out of the inning. Rivera throws across the diamond. In the inning, the Rockies get that run on the bases loaded walk. They trail 7-3 stretch time at Maryville. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Ford F-150. It's not just a truck, it's an F-150, and it's built Ford tough. And by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta lip moss. 7-3, the Brewers leading as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Time to check in again with Jenny Kavnar. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, standing by with Carlos Gonzalez. Right before we came on, I said, you know, you hit the ball pretty hard early today. What was your response?
Not hard enough.
Not hard enough. You will not take anything but a home run or a hit in spring training here. In all seriousness, as we wind down spring training heading towards the season, where do you feel like you're at offensively and in terms of the amount of at-bats you had? Are you satisfied right now?
I'm never satisfied. So, you know, I'm really excited about this next season. We've been working really hard this spring training, and, you know, we all feel pretty good about ourselves right now.
Yeah, speaking of working really hard, Drew and Huey were talking about how you've leaned up coming into camp this year. Last year, you kind of bulked up. You were a little bit heavier. What have you learned about mass versus lean, and was it maybe something about power versus, you know, having that strength and ability? Have you realized leaning out doesn't take away from your swing at all?
Yeah, you know what? I tried both things before. Obviously, last year I was about 230. I put a lot of weight in my body, and you know, I wasn't feeling really good in the beginning of the season. So, you know, this year I try to keep my body the same way I was in the second half, and you know, I feel pretty good right now. So, you know, I feel good running the bases and, you know, create situations with my teammates.
I know you got to talk a lot about having Troy Tulowitzki back, but now that he's back and healthy and in the lineup with you, what has the day-to-day been like when you both have been in the lineup?
Well, it's awesome. You know, I enjoy every time I play with him. He's a great player. He can do a lot of great things for this organization, and you know, as long as he's on the field, I feel really happy, and I'm comfortable with that.
When you look at power, I want you to assess some of these younger players on this team, because you have the power, you know what it takes. But between Willeen Rosario and Nolan Arenado, I should say, you've seen a lot of these guys at BP, a lot of the power that comes off their bat. Where would you say the power is at for the Colorado Rockies lineup right now?
Well, those young guys are going to do great things for the organization, and Nolan is getting close to being in the big leagues too. Willing already did great things last year, and hopefully this year he continue to hit the ball hard. He's been doing great during spring training, and you know, that's why I said we all feel great, because you know, it's not about Tulowitzki and Helton and Cargo. You know, there's some young guys who can hit the ball hard too, and help the team win.
What do you like about the mentality of your new manager and Walt Weiss? What has he brought to the table, and how has his approach to the game changed maybe how you think about the game?
Well, I love the way he plays the game. You know, he was a great player, and now he's doing the same things as a manager. You know, he always asks you for 100% every day, and you know, he play a smart baseball. So hopefully this is a great year for me and for the team and for himself too.
All right, Carlos, thanks so much for your time, for joining us. Drew here, we'll send it back to you.
All right, ask Cargo, by the way, Jenny, how he's doing the NCAA tournament bracket with the team.
Drew wants to know how you're doing in the NCAA tournament bracket with the team. I'd like to know this answer too.
You know what? These guys are cheating all the time. I played last year and my team won, and they say, "Oh, you didn't win by a lot of points." So I'm not this year. I don't care. You know, if I win, I'll take the money. But you know, they always steal my money every year.
What did you say to me when you walked in today? You said you felt sorry for me, and I don't appreciate that, because Colorado State won a game in the NCAA tournament, right? And I think Jordan Pacheco, if I'm not mistaken, his Lobos lost, correct?
Yeah, he feels sad right now. I feel sorry for you guys, because obviously I was rooting for CSU too. I want Colorado to represent, but they only won one game, just like Venezuela and WBC.
We'll leave it at that. Cargo, thank you so much. That's all he needs to know about college basketball. He likes Colorado State. I like Cargo then.
And you know what? Torrey Alba, who just picked up on that strikeout running off, is that he wears green and gold every single day, Jenny. You'll be pleased to hear that. Great interview with Cargo. 7-3 Milwaukee. Wow. Who's that guy up there?
Well, it's not me.
Looks like one of our photogs, Ryan Morrison, but I can't tell you. No, maybe not. Just a random hiker. Rockies trailing 7-3 as we go to the top of the 8th inning. There's some beautiful scenery here in the Southwest. Nolan Arenado is going to lead it off, and Jairo Asensio is now on the mound for Milwaukee. You know, a little more background information on Cargo's story. In the NIT pool, I mean, there's a lot of free time in baseball clubhouses, as you know. You know, it was a spread pool. So Alabama, Cargo had Alabama. And a couple years ago, Alabama won it all, but they didn't win by enough points. So Cargo didn't realize that. He comes in, he says, "Hey, pay me my money, I won." And they had to inform him.
Well, no wonder he's upset then.
Yeah.
But it's all. Did they have a CBI pool?
Well, no, they haven't gotten to where Wyoming's involved.
Okay.
But Wyoming won their first game in the CBI.
Yes, they do. They have another one tomorrow night. The AA in Laramie.
Can't make it up for that one.
No.
Neither
can the Cowboys. No, I think the Cowboys there.
Is the Cowboy back home?
I think he was going back home either today or tomorrow.
Giddy up.
He's going to be excited.
Nolan Arenado not hitting here. Charlie Culberson getting in at bat. Culberson, you know, the batting average may not reflect that, but the Rockies really like Culberson. He can swing the bat, solid defensively. Still a real young guy.
Yeah, and he came over from the Giants in the Marco Scudero trade last year. Was at Fresno at the time. Short, compact swing. And he was just optioned down to Colorado Springs today, and he'll just provide some more insurance and experience for the Sky Sox.
And Charlie calls timeout. Ball 4. So the 23-year-old Culberson goes to first base. Here the roster moves again today. Tyler Chatwood, Rob Scahill, along with Friedrich and Outman sent out. Gustavo Molina hit a 3-run home run last night also. That's not a surprise. Culberson, Ben Paulson, Charlie Blackman, Corey Dickerson also sent out. And the biggest news of the day concerning the roster, Daniel Rosenbaum, who was a Rule 5 selection off the Washington Nationals roster, and that again means he would have had to spend the whole year in the big leagues with the Rockies. They had a look-see with Rosenbaum, and not that he was disappointing, it's just that John Garland was signed today by the Rockies. He had been with Seattle throughout the spring, and to create space, Rosenbaum sent back to Washington. Here's the career numbers for Garland, the 33-year-old, 132 career victories, a couple of 18-win seasons in there. An all-star in 2005 when the White Sox were world champions. And this spring, really solid numbers with Seattle. And he opted out because it didn't look like he was going to break with the major league team.
Yeah, and he wants to be a starter. It wasn't going to fit into the bullpen for the way his, after coming back from the shoulder surgery, he needs those 4 days in between to prepare for his next start. So that to move into the bullpen wasn't an option.
So there you have it, Garland. Now a Colorado Rocky. 1-1 the count on Yorvi Torrealba. Second at bat for Yorvi. Came in for Ramon Hernandez defensively. Actually came in initially as a pinch hitter. He bounced to short his first time. Let's check in again with Jenny.
Yeah, we're standing by with Troy Tulowitzki down in the dugout. Troy, at this point in spring training, where do you feel like you're at? Physically, obviously, we've talked a lot about your health during the offseason and coming into the spring, but with just a week away from opening day, where are you at?
I feel good. You probably couldn't tell with my play today that I feel good, but it happens. But overall, just playing, being out there is the most important thing to me, and I'm excited for the season to start.
Of course, getting back to where you want to be at 100% was your main focus this spring, but what else have you really wanted to work on going into the season, and have you accomplished that?
I think just have fun with this game, enjoy it. It can get tough at times, such as today, so it's a perfect example of just kind of not being so hard on myself and learning to overcome those things and just try to be as confident and as positive as I possibly can be.
I was talking to Cargo a little bit about having Walt at the helm and what his philosophy is and what he brings to the table. What have you appreciated about that, being a shortstop and being able to have those conversations with a guy like Walt, who did grind out a couple of seasons in the big leagues as a shortstop?
It makes my job a lot easier. We kind of speak the same language. I can go to him with any problem that I face on the field or off the field, and he's probably came across a similar thing. So he's easy to talk to, and I'm excited to go through this first full year with him.
Who's impressed you at spring training? I know you've had a lot of conversations with Nolan Arenado. I know he's a guy that really looks up to you. Has he impressed you, and maybe who else has kind of come on your radar?
Yeah, Nolan's obviously a bright prospect for us, someone that is going to help us here in the near future. Corey Dickerson can really swing the bat, an outfielder. Some pitchers, Joe Gardner is a guy that comes to mind. I think he already got sent down, but someone with a good power sinker. Those three guys stick out, but all the young guys have done a nice job.
Rockies today signing John Garland, a guy that you've faced a lot. What do you think about that signing? What do you think he could bring to this team?
He's a professional. He's been around the game for a long time, and I think more importantly, he's played on winning teams, so that's real important. I think it's a nice addition, and hopefully he fits in well.
Can't let you go without talking about the NCAA, because that's all we've been talking about today. Of course, Long Beach State not in it, so you don't have a rooting interest. I think you had Indiana going all the way. How do you like your chances?
I did. I was just going to root with...
You did. You do. They're still in. Come on.
My team was New Mexico. I paired up with Pacheco. I know everybody's giving him a hard time, but I got his back. Too bad they lost, so that's who I was with.
I'm glad you have his back, because he's pretty mad at me right now. Tulo, thanks so much for your time, guys. We'll send it back up to you.
All right, Jenny, thank you. 2 walks to lead off this inning by Asensio. And this is Reed Brignac now at the plate. First debut for the veteran Brignac. Came over from Tampa Bay just before spring training began. A veteran utility guy
that hits left-handed and can play shortstop. That's why he was brought over. There was a case in Tampa where they were trying to clear a roster spot. They put him on waivers, and he was claimed.
Eric Young Jr. is on deck. 2 on, nobody out. Inside on Brignac. I mean, you pointed out a couple of things, and you understand this because you were that guy, a utility guy who played a long time in the big leagues. And it helped that you ran very well, obviously, but you were also a left-handed hitter.
Right, so you could take those tough right-handed guys, and you always got that start, maybe on a day game after a night game. But it just gives the manager some flexibility when you have that.
This ball's turned and crushed foul.
But Reed's done everything he needs to do when he came over. He's hitting right around 275, a home run, 6 RBIs, played very well in the field.
Toward the hole, on through, base hit. Rounding the bag at third is Culberson coming home with the Rockies' 4th run. Nobody out, and the Rockies here in the 8th within 3 on the RBI single by Reed Brignac.
Well, he turned one and hit it foul. This time he keeps it fair. Ball was away from him more than the last pitch, and he hits it in the hole, splits the first baseman and second baseman for a seeing eye RBI single.
Going to get another pitching change. Eric Young Jr. coming up. Asensio didn't retire anybody in the 3 hitters he faced. Hot air balloon. Got to do that early in the morning. You ever done that, Huey?
Nope. No desire.
I've done it once. It was interesting. Brewers leading 7-4. Nobody out. A run in for the Rockies in the 8th. EY Jr. now to face Alfredo Figueroa, who's had big league time with Detroit. Last couple of years, he was playing in Japan for Oryx. And he's always been a starting pitcher. All right, very quickly, name the nickname.
The Blue Wave.
Of the, you know, that's what I thought they were, but
they're not.
I think they're the Buffaloes. This is a chopper right back to Figueroa, and it works almost as a bunt. So EY is out at first, Torrealba to third, Brignac to second.
You sure about that?
It might, unless it's a typo in the media guide. Should I not believe everything I read? Is there another? There'd have to be another franchise in Oryx.
I thought they were the Oryx Blue Wave.
I see. I agree with you. Charlie Blackmon's 5th at bat. A couple of walks, a double, fly ball to right field. He can tighten this thing up with a knock here. 1 out, 2 in scoring position. Snap throw, Torrealba, and you know what? Stephen Parker saying, dude, I wasn't anywhere near the bag.
Well, it's a good thing he wasn't near to the bag, because that throw was 3 feet off.
Lally may have adjusted as he let that thing go.
Trying to hit a moving target. And Yorvik comes down, plants the right foot, goes back inside, just like you're taught.
That's a strike. Lolly's saying, remember that play we used to put on in the Southern League?
Worked there.
Ball and 2 strikes. Actually, let me correct that. It's 0-2 on Blackmon. And Blackmon with a bouncing ball up the middle. That'll get a run home. 7-5 as Torrealba scores. Jordan Pacheco will come up. Actually, let me correct that. That's DJ LeMahieu coming up. Jordan Pacheco's spot. First at bat for DJ. DJ playing short last night. He's had a lot of reps at short, and that's an indication, you know, as he battles for that, you know, one of the extra spots in the infield. He has really good hands, and he was a shortstop at LSU. And you know, Tulowitzki's going to take a day. You have a couple guys battling who are good shortstops. Of course, Johnny Herrera and DJ LeMahieu. Rutledge is going to stay at second base primarily, and it's been a solid, not glamorous spring for LeMahieu. He really came on last year in the second half offensively, finished at 297.
And that's why they are playing him more at shortstop. I would throw out the number during spring training as far as the batting average, because that number you saw in 81 games, that's a reflection of how he can hit. But could he play shortstop defensively? That's what they needed to see. And I've watched him over there, and he has the actions. You mentioned it. He played shortstop going into LSU. Then they converted him over to second base. But it's not like he doesn't have the arm strength to play there, or the footwork, or the arm action, or anything like that. He can do it, and he's a headsy ball player.
He's a guy that has great baseball instincts, and that's one of the things that when you scout, or if you are just observing once or twice, that's not something that necessarily jumps right out at you. But if you watch a guy over a period of time, you realize, you know what, this is a shrewd player.
But that's sometimes the most difficult thing about scouting is seeing just that component, because you can see everything else in 3 or 4 games, but it might take you 10 games watching a guy to see what kind of instincts he has.
Sure. You're going to be able to see raw power if you watch batting practice.
Come watch infield, you see the arm strength, everything that they do in the minor leagues on a daily basis. They don't take infield at the major league level pretty much after spring training, but down in the minor leagues they do it all the time, just for the scouts and for more reps for those kids.
2-2, and a nice job of hitting there by DJ. Pretty good pitcher's pitch, fouled off.
Boy, that's a straight over the top 12-6 curveball.
DJ hung in there nicely. 7-5. Brignac at third with 2 gone in the 8th. Hit high in the air to fairly deep right field, and getting over near the line, making the catch is Gindel. So the Rockies come up with a couple of runs in the 8th to tighten things up, 7-5. More beautiful scenics from the state of Arizona. Brewers 7, Rockies 5. Today's Save of the Week is brought to you by the region's Touchstone Energy Cooperative, your local consumer-owned electric cooperative delivering reliable power, energy-saving tools, and more. Learn more by visiting togetherwesave.com. Here's how the Rockies want to set up late ball games in 2013. The only new member of the crew is Wilton Lopez, who had great numbers for a very bad baseball team last year, the Houston Astros, 6-3 at 2.17 ERA. He also had 10 saves. So that quartet hopes to get the baseball with a number of leads this year, as opposed to last year where the season got away from the Rockies. This is Blake Lally, the catcher, on the ground to short, gloved by Brignac, 1 out. Chris Volstad's now on the hill for the Rockies. You can't miss him. He's 6'8". Former #1 pick of the then Florida Marlins. They go by the Miami Marlins now, with the Cubs last year.
And an impressive ERA for Chris at 2.0. He's working his way back to becoming that hard dominating sinker ball pitcher. Too many times the last few years that ball has been up in the zone and hasn't had the heavy sink to it.
Nick Shaw's at the plate. Volstad enjoyed some success with the Marlins when Mark Wiley was involved there. Now Mark Wiley is the pitching coordinator for the Rockies organization, hired in the offseason by Dan O'Dowd, and I hope those two are able to, have the same chemistry that they had a few years back.
Right, and I think it's great to have Mark here in the organization. I was down at the minor league complex yesterday. Went down over there with my son Cody, and we were just watching some ball games and watching guys, and Mark Wiley was watching Tyler Anderson throw. And just observing and then helping out. And for a guy that's had as much experience as Mark Wiley has had and seen so many things, to have the extra set of eyes and experience really, I think, will pay dividends for that minor league development. I saw an interesting figure over there, too. Steve Garvey was at the minor league complex yesterday watching his son Ryan.
Yep, his son Ryan had a pretty good year last year in his first taste of professional baseball.
Yeah, 304.
He was over in Grand Junction.
Well, that's fine, folks. If you come down, I know spring training, you want us to get to see the big league guys, but just walk around to the backside and watch all the 150 minor league guys going through their daily routine. There's some good ball players down there, and they're just not quite refined.
Breaking ball miss. It's also a nerve-wracking time right now for some of those minor league guys that potentially are on the bubble. And
well, because you still have all the guys in big league camp. You think about how many were sent down today. 9 guys were sent down today from the big league camp. Well, that has a domino effect from the guys that have been working out with AAA. Are they going to go down and be down with AA, and the AA go down to A ball, and so forth and so on?
Volstad working late in the ball game now, and you say, well, wasn't he a starting pitcher? Yes, he was. His candidacy right now for the Rockies is more in long relief. Two and two on Ben McMahon. He gets 3 ground balls. Good job by Volstad. We'll go to the 9th inning. Rockies trailing 7-5. Line score on this ball game so far: Milwaukee, as we go to the 9th inning, with 7 runs on 11 hits, and the Rockies 5 runs, 6 hits. They've taken an error off the board by the Rockies. I guess the only error up there is the one on Tulowitzki. Another one that was originally on Matt Belisle.
Yeah, they changed that to a sacrifice fielder's choice.
Jim Henderson, setup guy, one of the primary setup guys for Milwaukee, will take over in the 9th inning.
PCL All-Star in 2012. Resides in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Big Calgary Flames fan.
I was asking you on the drive to the ballpark today, you played in both Calgary and Edmonton.
Calgary was fun. That was I like Calgary, especially in the summertime. Edmonton, it was a little chilly in April and May on that. They used to have turf up there. It was just frozen concrete, basically.
Not so much fun.
No, not so much.
So Jim Henderson will face Corey Dickerson. Had a nice spring. And Corey was sent back down to the minor league complex this morning, but he's still able to participate nationally in big league games. He's been impressive swinging the bat. You were talking about him. I'll tell you who else was talking about him on a couple of occasions this spring. Well, Troy Tulowitzki today, but Dante Bichette, his hitting coach.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's nice to have those reps in front of the big league hitting coach and manager, where it's not just a game or two here when you're called up from the minor league camp. Come up and you'll get one at bat, hopefully, and then you're sent back out. But if you get a chance every single day to have him watch you take your batting practice, what do you do with the first round? Do you hit it the other way, or is everything trying to be hit a home run? But Corey does all the little things that they ask him to do in an at-bat.
He got moved up midseason last year in the High A California League at Modesto. He hit .338 with 9 home runs, 43 driven in just 240 at bats. And, you know, he was good in Tulsa in the Texas League. The average dipped a little bit, 274, nothing to be ashamed of. 13 home runs, 38 RBIs in 266 at bats there. And then you go back to his first year in Casper, the Pioneer League. He hit .348 with 13 home runs. In Asheville, he hit 32 home runs and 282 average. You know what? He can hit.
He can hit. Yeah, because at each level, there hasn't been a drop-off.
Two. I like the swing, and I like that adjustment there on the back foot breaking ball.
Well, he got real big on his second swing where he came out of his shoes trying to hit a home run, and that time it was more under control.
Good eye, 3-2. And Henderson strikes out Dickerson.
Well, the Colorado Rockies home run for the Homeless 5K is Sunday, May 12th. Go to coloradorockies.com/5K to register for the home run for the homeless.
First at bat for Ben Paulson with 1 out in the 9th inning. Been at first base the last couple of innings. Matt McBride is on deck. Paulson hit a home run the other day. He's got outstanding pop. Rumor circulating around baseball that the Yankees close to completing a deal to acquire veteran outfielder Vernon Wells from the Angels.
Well, Granderson being out 8 to 10 weeks. They're looking for some pop. They've lost a lot with what's happened to Teixeira also at first.
Yeah, Vernon Wells has always been kind of a leader in the clubhouse. He was a great player that's really tailed off the last couple of years.
Yeah, but I can tell you one guy who would be extremely happy if that happened. That would be Peter Borges, the center fielder for the Angels, because he's lost time to Vernon at different points the last couple of years. And then with Trout, obviously, being there, they could put Trout in left field, Borges in center.
Well, the first 8 years of his career, Vernon Wells, back in his Toronto days, averaged 280, 25 home runs, close to 90 RBIs, a 3-time All-Star. The last 2 years, he's hit 222 and averaged 18 home runs. Paulson takes that upstairs, and he's still owed $21 million this year and next year. I mean, a total of 42, not a total of 21 each year.
And the Yankees are trying to get under that luxury tax threshold. That might put them over the top.
They've had a lot of injuries. Jeter may start the year on the DL with that ankle. And we'll see the Yankees, Boston twice this year. Everybody else in the American League East, and Huey. That American League East, it's conceivable if the Yankees don't really play well, they could finish in the cellar.
4th or 5th. Yep.
I mean, Toronto's loaded, all the moves they've made. Baltimore won the division. Swung on and missed.
Don't ever count out Tampa Bay and Joe Madden.
No, Tampa's going to be in it. You know that. And Boston wasn't very good last year, but they made some significant moves also.
Yeah, there's that road trip in June that the Rockies take. 3 games to Toronto, followed up by 4 in Washington, and then 2 in Boston.
The Rockies have a number of 10-game road trips. I don't know if you've studied the schedule.
Yeah, I have, because I'm on, I think, all 5 of them.
Yeah. And there's 4 in a row late in the year.
Yes.
Well, the good news is it means you're going to play a lot of 10-game homestands also. Matt McBride with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Rockies trailing by 2. And it's inside on McBride, who had some good moments last year when he was called up. Versatile guy. He's another guy that can catch a little bit. Play first base, the outfield. Product of Lehigh. That's who Wyoming just beat in the CBI. And what did I tell you? I said it's a good thing you didn't wrestle them, right?
Yeah, true. They have got a good wrestling program, but so does Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming's not bad on the wrestling mat. The Engineers.
Is that what they are?
Yeah. Outstanding academic school.
I think we asked Matt about that last year. Did he go there to study engineering? And he said no. He goes, that's what you would have thought, because that's what most everybody goes there for.
And that is a nice pickup at third, and it's going to end the ball game. Well done by Stephen Parker. Stephen Parker taking a base hit from Matt McBride, and Milwaukee's going to win this spring training game on a beautiful Sunday in Phoenix by a final score of 7-5. Today's delivery of the game is brought to you by Jimmy John's, America's favorite sandwich delivery guys. Visit jimmyjohns.com to find a location near you. In our delivery of the game, the 5 innings of good work from Juan Nicasio. He felt, according to Ramon Hernandez, he said he didn't feel great today, didn't feel like he was real strong, but that's a good sign when you can work 5 innings and only give up a couple of runs when you don't feel like you have your best stuff. Swung the bat with a couple of hits, including an RBI single as well. So our Jimmy John's delivery of the game to Juan Nicasio. Well, Huey, not much offensively today. The Rockies did manufacture runs, which was good to see in the first and second innings. Nicasio, pretty solid performance.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing that come out of today's game, that even if he didn't have his best stuff, he still goes out there and battles for 5 innings, just gives up a couple runs.
We will be back at it tomorrow. It'll be an evening affair. as the Rockies are at Salt River Fields to take on the Cleveland Indians. Once again, the final score, the Rockies fall to the Brewers in Maryvale, 7-5, the final count. Again on the air tomorrow at 8 in the Mountain Time Zone, the Rockies and Indians. Till then, stop shoveling. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Take care, everybody.